A tenant they couldn't evict.
When was the last time you paid rent? She's a hustler.
And the animals.
You have dogs?
Yes.
That should have left with her.
These dogs attacked me without really barking anything. They just jumped on me.
A smaller dog bit you?
Yes.
Where?
On my foot. I had to go to the ER, get my shots. She never came up to apologize.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Jerry Napolitano and his girlfriend, Elke Koch, are suing their former tenant, Michelle Dominic, for car damage and a dog attack.
Order. All rise. It's case number 160 on the calendar, the matter of Napolitano Koch versus Dominic.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
I'm going to start with you, Miss Dominic.
Yes.
You are the tenant of the plaintiffs, is that correct?
That's correct.
How long have you been their tenant?
I believe since April.
April of this year?
Yes.
What kind of premises are you renting from them?
It's the bottom half of the property. It's a cabin.
It's a house?
Yes.
Not an apartment?
No.
Before you lived there, where did you live?
Briefly in Reseda, but before that it was Tehachapi in Bakersfield.
Just a second. Immediately prior moving in with them, where did you live?
Reseda.
With whom?
Roommates.
For how long?
3 months.
Prior to that, where did you live?
Tehachapi.
How long did you live there?
About 7 months.
Who were your landlords there?
I didn't have one.
Who were you living with?
My son, since my separation.
An adult son?
Yes.
Prior to that, where were you living?
In Bakersfield with my husband.
For how long?
My whole life.
So when you and your husband separated, you went to live with your son?
Yes.
Then you went for 7 months, then you went to live with roommates?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you work for?
I do not work.
How do you support yourself?
I am disabled.
When was the last time you worked?
I briefly worked the beginning of this year for a couple months, trying to see if I could go back to work.
What kind of work?
At a grocery store.
Does the government send you disability?
I'm Social Security.
When was the last time you paid rent to the plaintiffs?
May.
So you moved in April.
Really?
Oh,
yeah. I never saw it.
Just a second. Don't irritate me. Let's say the last time you paid them, it was in May. Plaintiff said he didn't see that, and they're currently trying to evict you,
Yes.
and you're not paying rent. So you're a squatter.
No.
Yes, you are. You're a squatter. That's exactly what you are. When you live in somebody else's property and you don't pay rent, you're a squatter. When you lived with your son, I assume you weren't paying rent, but he's your son. Are you related to these people?
No.
Well, and if you live in somebody's property, you have to pay rent.
I agree.
You agree. So why don't you pay rent?
Circumstances happen.
Just a second. There are no circumstances that happen. You moved into a property knowing you couldn't afford to pay any rent, and you didn't pay rent, and now you're putting these people through the process of having to evict you. They have to spend money. They have to spend time. They have a property that they wanted to rent to somebody because they needed extra money. Otherwise, they would, make a gym out of their cabin. I mean, what kind of person is that?
I was able to pay the rent.
Just a second. You only lived there in April. You paid April's rent. And then you didn't pay in May. You didn't pay in June. You didn't pay in July. They're trying to evict you. You're still not paying. When do you have to go back to housing court?
I've never been to housing court yet.
So do you have a date?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you have a date?
She already missed that date, Your Honor.
What was the date?
Oh, God.
She's a hustler.
No.
She's a hustler.
Sorry, I'm not. Ma'am.
Oh, absolutely. You're a hustler with them. You may not be a hustler with other people, maybe not with your son, maybe not with your 3 roommates, but you certainly are a hustler with them.
May 31st, Your Honor.
And I've
Here's
never
the filing.
received it.
Here's the filing paper, May 31st.
What was the first court date?
The court date for the eviction?
Yes.
Hasn't been set yet. The court hasn't set a date for that.
Yeah.
No, she already missed that date.
Yeah.
By not showing up. Oh, no, she didn't miss the date. She never responded.
What is your last name? Are you Napolitano or Koch?
Yes, Your Honor. Napolitano.
Mr. Napolitano, let's try just to answer my questions. We get through the day much quicker, and I'll be much happier. Was there a court date? That's either yes. No, Mr. Napolitano. That's either yes or no. Was there a court date?
Yes.
What was that court date?
I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, how was she supposed to know?
Well, it was on the papers that she was served with, and
Oh,
I
you don't have
know
a copy of
because
those?
after she didn't respond, there was no reason to go to court.
Do you have a lawyer who is helping you with this eviction process?
Yes, I'm using the document people. They're
just a second. Document people.
paralegals.
Listen to me. If you ever want to get rid of her, get
Thank
a
you.
lawyer. That's not what your lawsuit is about. I wish it was. I wish I could issue an order just throwing her out of your premises. If I could, I would issue an order to the marshals to pack her up and move her out, because I think it's disgraceful when somebody purposely moves into a home that they know they can't afford, belonging to strangers, and squats there, and knows that the eviction process, because there are so many squatters, is going to take 6 months. And then you're just going to be so happy to get rid of them, you're not going to bother with them. Just get them out of my premises. You forgive 6 months' rent. She's smiling. She knows the drill.
No.
Of course.
Okay.
No, ma'am. You're wrong.
Show me your rent for May, June, and July.
I didn't.
You didn't pay it. So you moved in April, and you gave them money in April, and not since, unless you can show me proof.
I didn't bring it.
Well, if you weren't coming to the beach today, you were coming to court today.
For this?
No, you were coming to court today. You bring everything concerning everything. Now, you have dogs?
Yes.
What kind of dogs did you bring to their premises?
I brought my pit bull and a wiener dog.
Which dog bit whom?
The little black dog bit her. The big dog knocked her down.
You're Miss Koch.
Yes.
Do you live together?
Yes, we do.
Is he like this all the time?
Worse.
It can be a little demanding, yes.
Okay.
I am not sure how she described the black dog. I don't know what kind of a breed it is.
She said it's a little black dog. She called it a wiener dog, which means a dachshund.
Okay.
Okay. Would you tell me when that dog bit you?
Yes, it was on the 6th of July. I just had gotten home from work the day before. I was outside in the morning to water the plants, and her gates were right next to where I was taking the water, the hose off the wall, and all of a sudden the gate jammed open and these dogs attacked me without really barking anything. They just jumped on me.
Is there a gate separating... Shh. Let me finish the question before you answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a gate separating your property where you live with Mr. Napolitano, who's annoying the heck out of me? Is there a gate in between your property where you live with Mr. Napolitano? That doesn't seem to bother you when I say you're annoying me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were talking to me. I was trying to find the pictures
No,
of
I'm
it
talking
for you.
to you. I didn't ask you for a picture. I'm asking her a question. Is there a gate separating the property where you live and the property that she was living in?
There's now 2 gates. Initially, when she moved in, there was only 1 gate. And at some point in April, the dogs did escape through that gate. So Jerry Napolitano insisted that she would secure her entry more with another gate. That morning, I went outside there. They managed to open or squeeze through both gates and viciously attacked me.
Were you on your property?
I was on his property, yes.
Where you live?
Yes.
Okay. And the smaller dog bit you?
Yes.
Where?
On my foot. It happened that the pit bull kind of pushed me. I lost my balance, landed on my back, and the black dog had no other reason to attack me. So
May I see it?
I had to go to the ER, get my shots, and had it x-rayed. The tendons were all swollen. It got infected, and I'm emotionally so upset now. I cannot...
When did you see her afterwards?
When?
When did you see her after?
Never. She never came up to apologize.
How did the dogs get back onto her property?
It happened that Jerry came to help me, and then he pushed the dogs back into her area and closed the gates, and then he brought me upstairs to do first aid on my foot.
And you haven't seen her since?
No, she never had the decency of even answering my emails when I asked her to.
Did you send her an email?
Yeah, it was.
I'd like to see it.
It's right here.
She also said she had insurance.
Mm-hmm. It's all in there.
Yeah.
She never responded to you?
No, ma'am.
Your email address is 15. Is that your email address?
Yes.
That's either yes or no.
Yes, it is. And I've gotten plenty from Jerry. I've never seen one from her.
I don't believe you.
I've got one.
Just a second. I don't believe that you never received the email.
Okay.
Don't believe you. I don't believe you about a whole bunch of things.
Obviously.
Obviously. There's a good reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good reason that I've been here for 23 years. Because you're a hustler.
No, ma'am.
Oh, yes, you are. You're a hustler. You're living in somebody else's property, eating their dinner, and not paying for your food. No, listen to me carefully. Yeah. You go into a restaurant, you eat a steak, you pay for it. You're living in somebody's property, you're not paying rent.
And I want
that
out.
Makes you,
Trust me,
that makes
I want
you
out.
Well, then get out. Just a second. Then get out.
Trying.
You're not trying.
Yeah.
All you have to do is get out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your son threw you out.
No, nobody threw me out.
Well, then you can go back to your son if you can't afford rent.
I don't want to move back to Bakersfield. Thank you.
You don't like to live in Bakersfield with your son? Get a job.
And later today,
he was very nice to you. The car broke down. I can't get a driver out today. That's pretty shoddy work for somebody who's been in business 15 years.
Your Honor, that was during my investigation process.
Baloney.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jerry Napolitano and girlfriend Elke Kutch say former tenant Michelle Dominic owes for damaging a car and a dog attack.
Now, your roommates threw you out. You went to live with your son. Your son threw you out. You found another place to live. Go back to your son.
No, nobody threw me out.
Well, then you can go back to your son if you can't afford rent. Go back to your son.
I don't want to move back to Bakersfield. Thank you.
Yeah, listen, when I was 24 years old, I wanted to live in Manhattan. I couldn't afford living in Manhattan. I lived in Brooklyn. That's where I lived. You don't like to live in Bakersfield with your son? Get a job. I don't want to hear about the dog crate. I'm not interested in the dog crate. Judge him for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. We're done.
Your Honor.
Listen to me. We are done. Feel happy, Mr. Napolitano.
Please are excused. You may step out.
He has been trying to be very controlling.
She's got all of her rights, but I can't do anything.
I hope I can get out very quickly.
Move. Yeah, please move. Go have a great life somewhere else.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Anderson versus DeMarco. Step forward.
Rideshare rental owner William Anderson is suing driver Cristiano DeMarco for unpaid rental car fees, vehicle damage, and an insurance refund.
I'm going to start with you, Mr. DeMarco. You drive an Uber. Is that how you earn your living?
Yes, I'm a rideshare driver, Your Honor.
That's all you do?
Yes.
And how long have you been doing that?
Since 2016.
So you know the drill?
Yes.
And you rented a car from the plaintiff?
Yes.
How long did you rent from Mr. Anderson?
About 2 months.
You said you've been in rideshare business since 2016. Did you own a car before that?
Yes, I did have 2 cars before that.
You owned?
Yes, I did.
What happened to them?
I had some financial difficulties, and the car got repossessed.
Were they both repossessed?
Yes.
And they were both repossessed after you had used them for your business?
Yes.
Now, when you rented from Mr. Anderson, did you sign a contract with him?
No, we didn't have no contract, Your Honor.
That's a double negative. No, you didn't have any contract.
No, I did not have any contract.
Well, tell me how then you rented a car from him if you didn't have a contract?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't believe that that's how it happened, by the way. Understand me. I think he's slippery. So I don't believe that it happened the way he described this damage to the car to the police.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Rideshare rental owner William Anderson says driver and former client Cristiano DeMarco owes for rental car fees, car damage, and an insurance refund.
Now, when you rented from Mr. Anderson, did you sign a contract with him?
No, we didn't have no contract, Your Honor.
It's a double negative. No, you didn't have any contract.
No, I did not have any contract.
Well, tell me how then you rented a car from him if you didn't have a contract?
It was a loose leaf agreement when we sat down and met.
What does that mean, a loose leaf agreement?
Basically, I gave him the money down and the deposit, and I picked up the car from him.
That's a contract, sir. I mean, unless you're not his uncle, are you?
No.
So you met. Did you meet at his office?
No, we actually met in Redmond Town Center, picked up the car, and then we drove to his buddy's insurance office, which was an Allstate office.
How much did you pay him down for the car?
It was roughly about $200.
Not roughly. I don't want to know roughly.
$171.
On what date?
April 6th.
How long did you keep the car?
2 months.
What was the monthly rental fee?
It was $55 a day.
$55 per day?
And it was $2 for the comprehensive insurance.
$2 in addition to the $55 a day. So that's $57
Correct.
a day. And you kept the car until June what?
June 23rd.
And when did you have an accident with the car?
It's actually May 24th.
Was a police report filed?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of it?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a picture of the damage to the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Mr. DeMarco, have you filed for bankruptcy in the last 24 months?
No, I'm actually planning on filing bankruptcy hopefully this year sometime.
I figured.
And I even let
I don't ask that.
I even let Mr. Anderson know that before I rented the car that I was about to file bankruptcy.
You say that as if you should be proud of it.
I'm not proud of it. I'm actually disappointed in it.
I mean, you had two
It's
cars,
actually very embarrassing, Your Honor.
both repossessed. Do you have anything, Mr. Anderson, that Mr. DeMarco signed that indicates that he was declining collision insurance on this rental car?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Then it's your responsibility. The damage is your responsibility. I don't believe that that's how it happened, by the way. Understand me. I think he's slippery. So I don't believe that it happened the way he described this damage to the car to the police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you acknowledged that you owed him this money, why didn't you pay it?
I got it down to $175. He was out of town in Wyoming. I got a text message here. I said, hey, when you get back in town, I have two crisp $100 bills for you. He didn't want to take it. And I got a text message saying that right here.
I'd like to see it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Rideshare rental owner William Anderson says driver and former client Cristiano DeMarco owes for rental car fees, car damage, and an insurance refund.
Now, the damage is your responsibility. I don't believe that that's how it happened, by the way. Understand me. I think he's slippery. So I don't believe that it happened the way he described this damage to the car to the police, that somebody clipped him and he was at a complete stop. Don't speak. That's what you just gave me. So I don't believe it. But it's your car, and you should have had complete insurance on it. So I'm not entertaining the damage to the car. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Next. Did he pay you for each day that he had the car?
No, he did not, Your Honor.
How many days didn't he pay you?
The total arrearage on his rent was $413.
You have proof that you made all of your payments to him?
Yes, I do. I have it through Venmo, and I never had any notification back from him that he had received these payments other than through Venmo.
No, I'm just asking you. He says that you owe him $413. That doesn't count any late fees or anything else. I'm just talking about $57 a day.
Yes, Your Honor.
So he didn't pay you for about 8 or 9 days.
That's correct. Your Honor, Cristiano and I did have settlement negotiations by text message.
Yes.
He did agree that he realized he owed $413
I'd like
in
to see
past due
that.
rent.
I'd like to see that.
Okay. I have them right here. I also told him at that time.
Let me just look at that. Okay, he did in fact acknowledge that he owed you the $413, and you said, okay, so $206 between now and the end of August.
That's correct.
Right, and he said, I'll send you $50 a week, just sent $6.50.
He sent $6.50 by Venmo to make it an even amount, I believe.
So $413 less $6.50.
Correct.
Okay. Now tell me about this insurance refund.
I paid the premium for his insurance policy, and at the time that he canceled his insurance, he texted me and told me there would be a $20 refund forthcoming. So I never saw the refund when I contacted the insurance company. I can't ask them specifically about his insurance, but I asked them in general how they handled a refund like that, and they said they would have sent it by check to the address on the policy.
Did you get an insurance refund, sir?
I never got the refund. I canceled it. They said they were going to put the money back on his card because he was paying it through his card, and I was paying him directly.
If you acknowledged that you owed him this money, Mr. DeMarco, why didn't you pay it?
I actually wanted to pay. I got it down to $175. He was out of town in Wyoming. I got a text message here that I just want to complete invoices and copies for my own records so I can submit for my tax purposes. He didn't want to give me any of those. I said, hey, when you get back in town, I have two crisp $100 bills for you. He didn't want to take it. Now here we are today.
I'd like to see...
And I got a text message saying that right here.
I'd like to see it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, if you acknowledge that you owed him this money, Mr. DeMarco, why didn't you pay it?
I actually wanted to pay. I got it down to $175. He was out of town in Wyoming. I got a text message here that I just want to complete invoices and copies for my own records so I can submit for my tax purposes. He didn't want to give me any of those. I said, hey, when you get back in town, I have 2 crisp $100 bills for you. He didn't want to take it. Now here we are today.
I'd like to see...
And I got a text message saying that right here.
I'd like to see it.
And in fact, the other thing that's heartbreaking about this is that we could have met, exchanged invoices, shook hands like gentlemen. This would never have came to this place.
All I know is he gave him back a damaged car with a baloney story.
Well,
you didn't pay him all the money that you should have. I'm going to be 76 years old. I've never had a car repossessed. You, in a relatively short time earning a living with cars, took cars, agreed to make payments, and had the cars repossessed after you earned living. As a rideshare driver, you say that that's what you do. So shaking hands like a gentleman with you might be slippery. You owe him so far $406. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, I gave him 60 days in which to pay half of the settlement that I was asking for.
This is the situation, and it's heartbreaking. That's all I can say at the end of the day.
He just kept ignoring and refusing to pay and ignoring and refusing to pay, and then...
I was barely making about $100 a day doing it, so all the money was going to the car, and I was barely making any money at the end of the day. But this is the rideshare game that gets played.
After the settlement deadline had elapsed, then he said, well, now I'm willing to pay you. And I said, I'm tired of it.
So at the end of the day, this is the situation. I'm the bad guy, he's the good guy, and that's heartbreaking because you know what? I'm actually the good guy.
This is part of what we've signed up for.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Knutson versus Schwager. Step forward.
Erin Knutson is suing her former friend, Amy Schwager, for a loan to bring her boyfriend back from Afghanistan.
Miss Schwager, you met somebody online.
Yes, I did.
Tell me when you met them online, what site you were on, and what the person's name was.
I met a gentleman online on Plenty of Fish, and I've known him for over 2 years.
Where does he live?
He lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And where do you live?
Butterfield, Minnesota.
Had you ever met him personally?
We did video chat, and...
Had you ever met him personally?
No.
And how long have you been a friend of Miss Knutson?
I've known her for several years.
How many?
5, 6 years.
From where?
Butterfield, LaSalle, Minnesota.
I mean, did you know from work, socializing, did you have mutual friends? What kind of work?
Bartending.
Now, this guy that you met online and have been chatting with for 2 years, he traveled out of the country?
Yes, he did.
Where did he go?
He went overseas to Afghanistan, Nigeria.
For what?
Military.
So he's in the military, you think?
Yes.
You think he's in the military?
I think he's in the military.
And I'm assuming for the purposes of this case, not assuming that for the truth of what you're going to tell me, but only your motivation for asking for money from Miss Knutson. You did ask her for money.
I did.
And she did give you $750.
Correct.
And you sent her $750 and, according to you, $2,000 of your money to this person who you had met online who was in Afghanistan.
I had sent him $750 and the rest later.
When?
Approximately 4 months later.
What did you send him the $750 for that she gave you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What's that scam bird that people call you now? You know, I've been kidnapped in Afghanistan, and please send $10,000 to this number, or we're going to send him pieces of the finger. Only thing is, you believed it.
I did, because
you believed it because that's what you wanted to believe.
Real people. Judge Judy. Erin Knutson is suing her former friend, Amy Schwager, for a loan to bring her boyfriend back from Afghanistan.
You sent her $750 and, according to you, $2,000 of your money to this person who you had met online who was in Afghanistan.
I had sent him $750 and the rest later.
The rest when?
Approximately 4 months later.
What did you send him the $750 for that she gave you?
He had been discharged
I mean, he'd been kicked out of the Army.
He had been discharged. I don't know if it was honorably or dishonorably.
Well, if they discharge you, they usually bring you home first. They don't leave you in Afghanistan. They don't say goodbye. Military doesn't say goodbye to you and leave you in Afghanistan.
He had stated to me on an occasion that he was discharged, that they would not help him home.
This is some government. Get you in the Army, and then they send you thousands of miles away, and then they say, you know, get home on your own. Can you imagine how many volunteers we would have for the Army?
Right.
Okay, so this is what he told you, and you believed him.
I did.
Because you wanted to. Anyway, you took $750 from Miss Knutson. You asked her for it?
Yes.
And why didn't you give it back to her?
She knew clearly that...
Hey, don't tell me what she knew. Don't tell me what she knew.
We had talked about it. The reason I had asked her for $750 was she was going to be getting extra money for sending the money to Charles. He had stated that he was going to pay her double back. I have evidence. I have...
Listen, women sometimes want to believe, they want to believe so desperately the lies of a mate. This wasn't even a mate. This was somebody that you never even met. This was like, what's that scam bird that people call you now? You know, I've been kidnapped in Afghanistan, and they're holding me for ransom, and they're holding your grandchild for ransom. Please send $10,000 to this number, or we're going to send home pieces of the finger. Or I am here and I have no way to get home. This is please send me money. Or you have inherited $100,000. All in order to collect the $100,000, all you have to do is wire $2,000 into this bank account, and then we'll be able to release the paperwork and send you the other $98,000. Only thing is, you believed it.
I did, because
you believed it because that's what you wanted to believe.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Closed captioning sponsored by JudgeJudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
What's that scam bird that people call you now? You know, I've been kidnapped in Afghanistan, and they're holding me for ransom, and please send $10,000 to this number, or we're going to send home pieces of the finger. Only thing is, you believed it.
I did, because
you believed it because that's what you wanted to believe. I mean, I'm listening to your story. I can't get home because I'm in the military, and now I'm no longer in the military, and they told me how to get home by myself. And you say to yourself, really? Really? You have to return the money to her. $750, judgment for the plaintiff.
Why is that excuse me? Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The danger.
I know, because my dog's a pit bull. It's got prejudice against it.
The attack.
And the dog killed their dog.
On her birthday, in front of an entire horrified family.
Judge Judy.
I don't feel it was my responsibility to have to pay her back.
It's been going on for over a year, and she's refused to pay me back.
Because there was an agreement that...
She said on several occasions that she would, and just never has.
He would directly pay her back.
So I had to take the next step.
He's been messaging me, and I ignore the messages.
I guess I would have been smarter in the situation.
Because I think he's a scammer.
I didn't realize that she never met him in person.
I honestly don't know. I would like to talk to her about the whole thing.
I mean, I'd like to remain friends, but...
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
It's one of those things I don't know how it will go.
It all started because you didn't do the right thing.
A driver has trouble following the law.
You failed to properly register the car when you bought it. Is there any reason?
I actually had to go and do 90 days in prison.
Then her car got locked up.
It got towed from someplace.
It was involved in a drug bust.
Who was busted?
A friend of mine.
Oh.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Tanya Karen and her daughter, Sherry Taylor, are suing Stephanie Chesney for car damages, rental fees, and fraud.
Order. All rise. It's case number 253 on the calendar in the matter of Karen Taylor versus Chesney. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
All All right, I'm going to do a broad stroke story of what I understand happened in this case. And you can correct me only if there's any major problem with what I'm suggesting your complaint, answer, and counterclaim suggest. Who bought the car?
I did.
When did you buy this BMW?
Back in September of 2017.
Who did you buy it from?
Mark's Enterprise in Reedsville, North.
Just a second. Mark's Enterprise?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a 2007 BMW or a 2008?
2008.
Now, you used to, Miss Chesney, own this 2008 BMW.
Correct.
You haven't owned it for quite some time.
Correct.
When did you sell it?
I sold it in November 2016.
To whom?
I sold it to damagedcars.com. It was involved in a wreck.
And what did you get for it?
I got $1,200.
And how much did you pay to Mark's Enterprise for this car?
$3,300. Total loss.
Sure, I'm sorry. Paid $3,300 from Mark's Enterprise. The only problem is, well, several problems. You failed to properly register the car when you bought it. You did a lot of work on it, but you failed to register it at all.
Yes, ma'am.
And it got towed off your street.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not correct.
It got towed from someplace.
Yes,
From
ma'am.
where?
It was involved in a drug bust.
Oh. Who was busted?
A young man by the name of Jerome.
How do you know him?
He's a friend of mine.
Okay. So the car was involved in a drug bust with a friend of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
And it was impounded.
Yes, ma'am.
And the car sat in impound for a while, and then they contacted you.
Correct.
And they said, you're the titled owner to this car. Do you want it? And if you don't want it, you have to pay the fees that have accumulated on it so far because you are the titled owner.
Correct.
Now, when was the car taken in the drug bust? Month and year?
February 26, 2018.
And when were you called from impound?
I received a letter from the state of North Carolina. I picked up about April the 1st, 2018.
So the car had been sitting for a little over a month.
Correct.
So you went and got it.
Yes, I was told.
Whatever. Can't tell me what you went and got it, and you paid the impound fees.
Correct.
Which is how much?
I paid $1,480.
To make a long story short, you got to where she was. Police got involved. Ultimately, you got the car back.
Yes, ma'am.
And you say it was damaged.
Yes, ma'am.
Who cares? I don't care. Your fault. You failed to title the car. You failed to register the car. The car was involved in a drug bust with clearly somebody that you knew. What'd you want her to do? Let the car sit there in impound? Well, it's not going to let the car sit in impound. It's your fault. 100% your fault. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. If you did what you were supposed to do, you would have registered the car the day that you bought it. You might have found out if you attempted to register the car appropriately that Mark's Enterprise didn't have a good title, because she hadn't been signed off on the title. But you didn't do that. Is there any reason?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually had to go and do 90 days in prison. And also, I did attempt to get it registered, but it was a lien release against damagedcars.com that actually did not fill the paperwork out right, which I, in turn, in process,
listen to me,
did it.
When did you buy the car?
I bought the car in September.
September of 17.
And I
When did you go to jail?
January the 3rd.
September, October, November, December, January. That's 4 months. You had to register the car. 4 months. Then you went to jail for 90 days.
Okay, I fixed the car. The car was total loss.
I don't care.
I know, but
I don't care.
It stayed in the shop 2 months.
It doesn't matter to me. It's your fault that she got a call to come and get this car because the impound fees are revving up.
I understand, but she sold the car in 2016. Yeah. She received the check for the car, cashed it, and she failed to give proper notice as the state of North Carolina tells her to fill out a form that says she is no longer a registered owner of that car. Right. So she stole my car.
No, she didn't. She didn't steal your car.
It wasn't her car.
Just a second. It all started because you didn't do the right thing.
I couldn't do the right thing.
Okay.
If the DMV gave me a letter telling me that I had to...
Madam.
Yes, ma'am.
From September, October, November, December, and January, the DMV gave you nothing because you didn't try to register it.
I got
just show me that you tried to register it the week, the month that you bought it. Show me.
It took me, I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is about...
You have no case. If you can't show me that you tried to register it within the month, show me that you tried to register it within the month that you bought it. Show me, no, don't come up here. Don't give me a whole bunch of papers. Make a circle around where you tried to register the car in September or October of 2017. So show me that you tried to register it in September.
This is another reassignment.
I tried twice.
That's another reassignment from the actual dealer.
May I say something, Your Honor?
No. You can show me something that says you tried to register the car when you got it.
Yes. In this right, I'm sorry, this right here. I apologize.
What is this?
It's a reassignment for title, to assign the title to my mother's name.
If I'm mistaken.
And what happened with
the damagedcars.com failed to send the right paperwork to me, and I talked to the title expert there. She got a form
You can't tell me. Listen to me.
She got a form to Marks Enterprise, which they in turn sent it to me. I took it back.
I just want the dates that all this, if all this happened in September.
I was having time. I had to go and do 3 months. When I came home, I tried to get the car back.
Would you do me a favor? Would you return this to her?
Thank
you very much. She's not giving you any money. Understand she's not. You have your car back. You're very lucky. Is it back with you?
And it was damaged.
I don't care.
They drained every fluid in my car out. They damaged the tires and they scratched my car up.
I don't have
And they refused to give it back after the police told them to give it back.
Yeah, but did you get it back?
Damaged.
Did you get it back?
I got it back damaged.
We're done. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, I am countersuing.
Oh, I know you are. Forget it.
Okay.
Forget it?
Absolutely. Forget it. You knew that you sold the car.
Correct.
And what you would get...
Can I say something, please? Please?
Do what you
want. Let me be a little more direct across this. We were going to be held responsible for paying the storage fees, or they were going to sell the car and sue us to get the money.
And then all you had to do was show that you had sold the car to damagedcars.com.
We did all
You went
that.
and got, listen to me, you went and got the car. You went
It was full of drugs.
Just a second. You went and got the car, and what did you do with it?
I put it in the garage. We never drove it. Never drove it.
Did you fix it?
Just a second,
I have the answer.
Then I fixed it. I fixed it. I started fixing the car, not knowing her situation until June. When she showed up in June,
just a second.
We gave her the car back.
Just a second. What I'm telling you, sir, is I read your answer in your countersuit.
Right.
You're suing because you put work in the car, $1,500 or $2,000 worth of work, knowing you didn't own it.
Okay, but what about just the storage fee?
Bye.
I'd like to, Your Honor, I would like to
show you one thing. One thing, please. I just want to show you where they were supposed to fill out a registration form that they don't own the car when they cash it.
Listen to me very carefully. The car that you failed to register was involved in a drug-related incident with somebody that you knew. Say goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was told by the state of North Carolina that the car was registered to me, and legally I was responsible for it.
She obtained property by false pretense.
I found out I had been involved in one of the largest drug raids in North Carolina, 5,000 bundles of cocaine and heroin.
She had the drug dealer's car, if that's the way she wants to look at it.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kern versus Elliott. Step forward.
Ronald and Lisa Kern are Mallory Elliott for unpaid rent and damages to their rental home.
Mr. and Mrs. Kern, you rented a house to the defendant with an option to buy the house. The defendant gave you a $5,000 deposit, and the agreed-upon rent was $1,200 a month. So far, correct?
Yes.
And you moved in, according to what I read, on the 22nd of March. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you were giving him $5,000 and $1,200 from March 22nd to April 22nd?
Well, I moved in on March 22nd, so it was prorated.
Okay, so you were going to pay rent the first of each month?
Correct.
Okay. On what date did you either move out or were locked out?
I was locked out on July 3rd.
So we have...
August 3rd, I'm sorry. August 3rd.
August 3rd. So we have the months of April, May, June, July, and a few odd days here and there. Because I'm a simple person, let's say 4 months that you had use and occupancy of the home.
Correct.
So you should have paid them $4,800.
Correct.
How much did you pay them that you can prove to me?
$4,800.
Show me.
Well, I can't show you I guess you're right. I can't show you for March. I can show on the lease agreement that I did give them the $6,637.
How much rent did you pay for the 4 months that you lived there? And if you say you can't, I'm going to ask him how much rent you paid.
Okay, so
how much rent did she pay?
She paid $1,587.
That was my initial payment.
She paid for March and all of April. May she was late. June she was late. July, August, and September she never made one payment.
Just a second. She wasn't there August and September. So did she pay for July?
No.
No.
Yes, I sent the check. My fiance.
Just show me the canceled check for July. Show me the canceled check.
It's not the cash. It's the duplicate check.
Yeah. I don't deal with duplicate checks. Okay. I could make a duplicate check out of my checkbook. Show me the canceled check for July.
They never cashed it.
Oh, fine. So you owe them for July.
They were trying to evict me before July.
Just trying to make this simple, madam. Okay. You had use and occupancy of the house in the month of July and didn't pay rent that month. It's $1,200. Okay. This is what your claim is. Your claim is that she actually moved out to live with a boyfriend and she let her brother and a couple of his friends move into the house.
That is correct.
Okay. And according to you, you have a video to establish that because you filed for notice of inspection and you went in and you videotaped that.
Correct.
I'd like to see the videotape. First, when was it taken?
June 27th.
Okay. June 27th.
Unfortunate. This apparently is the only clothes that 2 kids have, and apparently that is all the clothes that she has. 5 shirts and 2 pairs of shoes.
This is the other bedroom, not the master bedroom, which shows all male items.
This is my brother's room.
Just looks like some men have
Is
recently
your brother listed as a
moved in.
tenant in your tenant agreement?
He wasn't even there. No, he wasn't there.
Just the answer is no.
There was no kitchen table.
Okay. Okay. So whatever it was, it didn't work out. She didn't pay rent for July, correct?
Correct.
She owes you $1,200. You have $5,000 of hers. That means you owe her $3,800.
We don't have that $5,000, Your Honor.
That $5,000 was for the completion of the lease to purchase option for the 48 months.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Your Honor.
If that's you're trying to get over on me.
No.
That's not going to happen. Where is the $5,000?
We
what? Either you have it, you
do not
spent
have
it, you gambled it away,
No,
you gave
Your
it to
Honor.
somebody. Where is the $5,000? Listen to me carefully.
Okay.
I want an answer. Don't give me a long talk show answer. Where is the $5,000?
It was paid in commission on the sale of the home because this was a sale agreement ultimately.
Paid commission to whom?
To the real estate brokers.
Who were the landlords, too.
No, they were not
Just
the
a second. Show me that you took her $5,000 and that was the commission that you paid to an agent.
We do not have anything showing that it was paid to the real estate agent.
$3,800 judgment
Your
for the
Honor?
defendant on the counterclaim. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
There was people back and forth, moving in and out during inspections.
They had no reason to even enter my home. It was just false inspections.
We noticed that there were other people living there.
It was just my brother and I living there, so false accusations.
You know, we can't stop helping people because of a bad situation.
I definitely have somebody look it over before you actually get into a contract like that.
We've never had any issues except for this one.
Because they do actually take your money and no money goes towards the purchase of the home.
Glad it's done and move forward, and we got new tenants and life was great.
I'm so glad it's done.
Ladies, have a seat, please.
Ms. Summage, the defendant and your mother lived together for about 8 years. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And they lived together in an apartment. The lease on the apartment was in your name and your mother's name, but you never lived there with them.
I did for a little while.
How short a while?
We stayed there for about 2 years. I lived there for about a year and a half.
And then they lived there by themselves.
No, I moved out in like February
Of what year?
2013. And then she went into the hospital in May.
Listen to me. Of the 8 years that your mother and Mr. Loggins lived together, How many years did you live with them?
Oh, 7.5.
And so you lived as a family.
I wouldn't call it a family.
How old are you?
18.
So you were a kid?
Yes.
That's why. And when you turned 18, you moved out?
Yes.
Okay. While you were living in the house with your mom and Mr. Loggins, they lived together as a couple. Mom passed away when?
July 19th.
While she was in the hospital and until Mr. Loggins vacated the apartment and you actually moved back into the apartment, correct?
Yes.
You paid rent for the apartment because Mr. Loggins refused to pay the rent.
Yes.
And that's really what you're suing him for.
Yes. That and damages and assault.
Okay. Now, when your mother lived there as a couple with Mr. Loggins, was Mr. Loggins employed?
Every now and then.
But the rent was paid by your mother?
Yes.
From her SSI?
Yes.
What was the nature of her disability?
I'm not really for sure.
What do you mean you don't know? What was wrong with her that she was collecting disability?
She had kidney and liver problems.
And while your mother was in the hospital, how many months' rent did you pay?
She paid the rent. She paid about 3 months' rent.
While she was in the hospital?
Yes.
Is that the money you are seeking to get back from him?
Yes.
Well, you're not going to get it back.
May I help her, Your Honor?
I don't want to hear from you.
Okay. Just to define. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
You have to understand something. This is your mother's choice. That's what you did. She collected disability. She paid the rent. That's what you said. That was the arrangement she had with him.
She was in the hospital.
Doesn't matter. That was her choice. She got disability. From the disability, she paid the rent on the apartment, which she had done for at least the 8 years that they were together, according to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not entitled to that rent.
She was on life support, Your Honor.
Listen to me. Follow what I'm saying. You may not like the answer, but that's the law. You have no right to that money. You didn't pay the rent.
After she died,
now you can go out. Now you can go out.
Make sure you say you paid after.
That was your mother's choice. That was the working relationship that she had with her companion. She paid the rent. And I assume that the rent was continued to be paid, at least according to you, because you wanted, according to your complaint, in case your mother got better, you wanted her to have her apartment.
Yes.
Well, so paid the rent. And you paid the rent with her disability checks.
Yes.
So I paid her rent. And Bird paid her rent. Not you. We paid her rent. Now I'm going to hear about what damage you alleged that he caused to the apartment.
Okay. There was cupboard doors hanging off of the hinges. There was door handles taken off of the laundry rooms. The master bedroom was yellow from him smoking. There was...
Did you move back into the apartment?
Yes.
Are you living there now?
Yes.
This part is over. Now I'm going to hear about the assault.
After he moved out, he said that the washer was his, which was given to him.
Okay, so he moved out when?
August 17th or 18th.
So shortly after your mother died?
Yes.
He moved out, and he said to you, the washing machine belongs to me.
Yes.
And?
And when he came, my mom had got it given to her as a gift from my aunt.
You can't tell me that, because you don't know that.
So I stood in front of the washer door and refused to give it to him. So he attacked me and
How did he attack you?
He pushed me and was hitting me, and my hair was pulled.
Did you call the police?
Yes.
You have a police report?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
They blacked out all the names. They said that we needed a subpoena to have them on there.
Your Honor, that's not a police report. I have the same information that she has.
Just a second. Doesn't say anything here.
Exactly.
Shh.
They said that to get any more information or have the names on there that we needed a subpoena from a lawyer.
This doesn't say anything. Doesn't say anything. Unless I'm missing it. Did you read it?
Well, it says domestic violence call. They wouldn't give us anything else.
Okay. Did you seek medical assistance?
No.
Okay. Now, you have a counterclaim for the washing machine.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How long had the washing machine been in the house?
Probably about a year or so. We were only in an apartment for about 2 years. So
in that apartment?
In that apartment, yes, correct.
Was there anything else in the apartment that you claim belonged to you other than the washing machine?
Other than my stuff? No, ma'am.
Just the washing machine?
Just the washer, that's all I wanted.
Was there a dryer?
Yes, there was.
The dryer wasn't yours?
No, it wasn't.
Was there a kitchen table and chairs?
Yes.
That wasn't yours.
No, it wasn't.
That was left there, right?
Yes.
Was there a bedroom set?
Yes, that was mine.
Did you take it?
Yes, I did.
So you took the bedroom set?
Yes, I did.
When?
On the 18th, the day of the alleged assault. The cops came and he stood by because she claimed that I assaulted her when in actuality I was the one who was assaulted. I have my mother here as a witness. I have injuries to prove it as well. Her and her grandmother assaulted me. It's correct. She did stand in front of the door to the laundry facility. I tried to pull on the door, and when I pulled on the door, they both attacked me. My mother, who saw them attacking me, she came to my rescue because she didn't want to see me get assaulted by these two ladies.
Which two ladies?
Her grandmother's not here. Her grandmother was with her at the home that day.
Okay, but you took your bedroom set.
Yes, I did.
What else did you take from the apartment?
I took my bedroom set, my television, my PlayStation. I tried to take my dishes and stuff like that. The cops wouldn't let me take that. Basically, my clothes, stuff that we accumulated through the relationship that were clearly mine.
When did you purchase the bedroom set?
Actually, it was a gift from my mother. She purchased it around 2006.
And you knew that?
No. I knew the bedroom set was his, but I didn't know where he got it from.
But you knew it was his?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'd like to hear your story, Mr. Loggins, about where you got the washing machine from.
Well, I got the washing machine set from...
Because you have a counterclaim.
Yes, I do have a counterclaim for the washer, yes. I got the washer itself from friends. There was mutual friends of ours named, I won't give their names, but...
Just a second. So the washing machine was given to you and your girlfriend?
No, from my understanding...
I don't care what your understanding is. It was given to you by mutual friends.
Yes.
That is mutual friends of you.
Yeah, for helping them move. So it was like payment for work.
Did you declare it on your taxes?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay. Mr. Loggins, how many years did you live rent-free in that apartment?
I wouldn't call it rent-free.
I would.
No, because I paid bills. What? I paid bills there. I paid the cable bill, which was more than her rent.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Summage says her late mother's boyfriend, Cairo Loggins, owes for bills, damage to the home, and an assault. Cairo is countersuing for the cancellation of a cell phone policy and the return of a washing machine.
I want you to forget the washing machine.
Okay.
I'm telling her to forget her rent. There are other ways to deal with the pain of loss when somebody dies other than to litigate out of anger. Mm-hmm. Your mother, at least for a period in her life, was satisfied and happy with Mr. Loggins. She was happier with him than without him. That was her choice. May not have been your choice. That was her choice. How she chose to assist him in supporting himself was her business. Why you're angry with him? I don't know. And actually, if he had come to the house and said, listen, all I want is my bedroom set and my PlayStation and my washing machine, I would have said, you want to know something? Take it. You lived here with my mother. I was a kid. I don't actually know how it all came about. If you say it's yours. But I wouldn't go so far as to say that I think that fighting over a washing machine is appropriate behavior for two adults who are in a period of grieving and loss. So I'm certain, Mr. Loggins, that your life will move forward without the washing machine.
Yes, ma'am,
It's going to have to move forward without the washing machine. And he, Miss Summage, doesn't owe you any money because you didn't pay any rent on the apartment.
I had to pay for the damages to the apartment.
And I don't know whether he caused them or your mother did.
No, they caused them.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Please excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy hit it right on the head. Her mother got Social Security. Her mother paid the rent.
I don't agree with it at all. I believe he owes every single penny.
Me and her mother had an agreement that I paid certain bills, and her mother paid the rent.
That was paid for while he was in the house by himself.
Her sister, her boyfriend, her mom, everybody moved in the day my girlfriend died.
For damages and all.
But you want me to pay for damages that you caused? Nah, I don't think so.
Never talk to him again. That's it.
Well, hopefully I'm going to go home and, just pick up my life, pick up the pieces where I left off and keep on moving.
Mr. Hatini, you and Mr. Chung were both working out at the same gym. On what date, sir?
On May 10th, 2013.
Were you a regular member of that gym?
Yes, I am.
And are you a regular member of that gym?
Yes, I am.
Had you ever seen each other working out previous to May 10th?
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have.
On that date, Mr. Hatini, it is your claim that Mr. Chung, who was playing with barbells, dropped the barbells, and the barbells injured you.
Yes.
Mr. Chung, I read his answer, and his defense is out of the way. If I'm reading it right.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, Mr. Chung, I'm going to ask you to go over there. So step away from the bench. I'd like you to show me how you are doing your barbells.
I have the barbell on my back.
How heavy?
210 pounds.
Now, when you have those barbells on your back at 210 pounds, do you sometimes use something that, I don't know, what do they call it? A spotter? Are you impressed?
I'm very impressed. I don't.
You know, a little information sometimes can cause you a lot of trouble, because I hope nobody asks the next question. You don't use a spotter.
I don't, because...
Just a second. Don't tell me because. I would like Officer Byrd to tell me what a spotter is.
That's the person who makes sure that you're safe while you're lifting.
And you can do those exercises sometimes with a machine, right?
It's a different exercise, though.
This is your own exercise. So you don't use...
No, it's a very common exercise.
Yes. Where you...
Do a squat.
A squat.
With the barbell on your back.
Without anybody watching and observing you.
Because it's on a weightlifting platform where weights are allowed and designed to be dropped if something happens.
Okay. Now you can go back. Let's retrace it a little bit. So you're doing squats with 210 pounds.
Right.
And evidently, either you lost your grip or it was too heavy.
I lost my balance.
You lost your balance. Shh. Lost your balance.
Yes.
And when you lost your balance, what happened?
I dropped the weight.
And when you dropped the weight, what happened, Mr. Hattini?
I was working on this leg press machine, Your Honor, and unloading the plates onto here.
Just a second. Just tell me, and then I'll look at the pictures. Don't pick up the phone.
Okay.
When I started, nobody was behind me.
Listen to me, sir.
Sorry.
I asked you questions. I understand. You were doing your squats with 210 pounds. You lost your balance. You don't work with a spotter. You dropped the barbell, 210 pounds. He's going to tell me what happened to him.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I want to make it clear. He's claiming that you can drop the weights on this platform. Yes, you can drop the weight on the platform within this square, not off of it by 3 feet.
Just tell me what happened to you.
So I was unloading the weights off of the leg press machine, and I didn't see anything. I just felt a massive force crushing my calf against the plates on that leg press machine, and I felt my leg as if it got amputated. I was under excruciating amount of pain.
Okay, so he dropped the barbell, and it
rolled,
and it stopped on your calf.
Yes.
That's what happened. Okay.
Can I point something out?
No. No. I mean, there are certain things that he's going to have to prove to me. He's going to have to prove to me that he was injured. There's no question if he was injured that it's your fault. You choose not to use a spotter. You choose to do that exercise. You have to guarantee, if you choose not to take certain precautions.
Well, he did sign a waiver that alerts you to the fact that there's constant danger in working out in a gym. Having your back behind someone doing a squat on a weightlifting platform is not being aware of being in constant danger in a gym.
What I'm telling you, sir, is you have to be alert to the potential dangers, because if you were using the equipment...
When I started...
Listen to me. If you use the equipment properly, and if you properly trained, then you wouldn't have lost your balance.
Right, but
then you wouldn't have lost your balance. Then you would not have dropped the barbell.
Stuff happens in the gym. There was something I'd done before.
Stuff happens when you drive a car.
Exactly.
Stuff
but you don't sign
when,
a waiver when you drive a car.
Are you trying to talk over me?
Don't
try to talk over me.
Your Honor.
You do, in fact, implicitly sign a waiver when you get into your car and you're driving on a parkway with other vehicles. Implicit in that, when you get is that you're going to exercise caution. Sometimes accidents happen. That's why they're called accidents and not on purposes. There's no question that you did not drop the barbell on purpose.
Right.
It was an accident. Your accident. Because either you used too much weight or because your legs weren't strong enough to hold on to the weights. A little bird didn't come into the gym and cause you to lose your balance. You lost your balance because of you.
May I make a point?
Sure.
This is an area where weights are designed and allowed to be dropped. It's not like he was in an area where you're not supposed to be dropping.
No, just a second. They're designed to be dropped in a certain way, sir. They're designed to be dropped when you are finished doing your squat. I see sumo people do that all the time. They pick up somebody and they drop it on the ground. But they drop it in a controlled way so that they're controlling it. What you say happened was you lost your balance and you actually dropped the weight in a non-controlled way.
Actually, on a weightlifting
platform.
platform.
Just a second.
Okay.
I'm not talking to you anymore. I have other things to do today. I'm telling you that if he was injured, you're responsible for his injury. Now, after the weight went into your calf, were you taken to an emergency room?
Yes, the ambulance.
I'd like to see the report.
Yes, ma'am. Here's the emergency room report. And
like
here's a statement from the gym, the entire accident.
Just a second.
Okay.
I don't read statements from the gym. Is that what you have?
The accident got caught on camera, and they wrote a statement with an
No,
accident
I don't
report.
listen to me. If the accident is caught on camera, bring me the tape. Don't bring me somebody else's interpretation of what they're reading on a tape. I can't read that.
Okay.
Then they're taking on the role of the judge. If they're describing what they saw on a tape, they're taking my eyes away from me. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So your leg wasn't broken. You were in terrible pain.
Yes.
And it cost you $45. Did you have any other follow-up medical treatment?
I do. The bills are here.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. And it also cost me about $1,000 of my wages. There's a statement from my...
I don't read statements from anybody.
Thank you.
Except the police department, because they're business records.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out how much your medical bills were. You have insurance. The carrier paid $148.
Yes.
And then a carrier adjustment, and your balance was $35 on that whole bill.
The next page, Your Honor, you'll see the hospital bill. It's $1,600. And you'll see the ambulance bill. It's almost $1,000. I have the bruise on my calf till this day, Your Honor. If you give me the permission, I'll be glad to show
Absolutely.
it. It's, my calf is dented, and I have a bruise right over here, and it's numb to the touch.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Khaled Hatini says fellow gym member Yue Chung injured him when he dropped his weights during an exercise.
Listen to me, sir. There is something to what Mr. Chung says, that when you work out in a gym, there is always the possibility of injuring yourself. I know that. My husband works out in a gym regularly and has hurt himself in a gym on more than one occasion, either because of himself. I don't ever think it happened as a result of somebody else, although maybe on one occasion it did. But there is a certain risk when you're working out with heavy weights, etc. But I do not think that you assume the risk when you go to the gym of somebody losing their balance, dropping weights, and those weights falling on you. Now, there's no question that Mr. Chung did not do that on purpose. It was an accident, and that you should be made whole. And your being made whole is $2,700 because that's what your medical bills were.
Yes.
I don't see any reason that you've ascribed to Mr. Chung for being reckless and for having any reckless disregard for your safety. I think he was working out in a gym, he lost his balance, and the barbell hit you. And I certainly think that you should not suffer for any out-of-pocket expense as a result of that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,700. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was hurt. That's undeniable.
He's being now really nice in front of the camera. But here's his reaction to me when I came and approached him the first time. You're still standing. Why should I pay you?
I think he basically walked into an area where it says watch out for falling objects, and he wasn't watching out for himself.
You can drop the weights on the platform, not off of it by 3 feet.
He's been there almost every day from what I understand, beginning the day after the accident.
I couldn't walk for 2 days. I came back 2 days later limping to the gym.
Working out, using both legs.
I went back to the gym to train my upper body. I did not train my calf till 8 weeks later.
When I'm in the gym, I just do my business. I don't pay attention to anybody else.
He is responsible for every second and moment of pain that I had to endure.
Mr. Owensby, you and the defendants are neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have a dog, little Pekingese.
Yes, ma'am.
And they have a dog that's a mixed breed dog. Is that right? And the dogs have been around each other before.
About 9 months.
So for about 9 months they've been around.
Converse. They just...
Well, dogs converse in their own language. I don't know
Right.
whether they're conversing or not. I could tell that with my dogs. But they have been around each other for quite some time.
Right.
And on a particular day, you were out in your yard.
It's out by the trash cans on the sidewalk.
Okay. And that was April what?
April 15th, tax day.
On April 15th, you were out by the trash. Who was walking your dog?
I was.
You were out with your dog?
Yes, I was taking out the trash.
You were taking out the trash? You were taking out the trash?
No, ma'am, I was just in my yard.
Okay.
Out by the trash cans.
And your little Pekingese was unleashed?
Yes, ma'am.
And your dog was unleashed?
Correct.
And it is your claim that their dog bit your dog, causing your dog to lose an eye.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want them to be responsible for the veterinary bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Let us assume that happened for a moment. that your dog, and I don't know the fact of whether or not your dog bit the plaintiff's dog?
I personally do not think that he closed down his jaws at all in any way on the other dog. The dog was not picked up, shook, nothing like that.
So you're not sure that your dog actually clamped down on the dog's
Correct.
eye?
Correct.
Okay. But you do acknowledge that something happened between the two dogs that day.
Lots of tension, yes.
Something happened. And when you first saw Mr. Owensby's dog on April 15th, the dog was fine.
Yes.
And something happened on April 15th between the two dogs. Now I will see the veterinary report, because maybe we can piece this together. So even if Miss Amel didn't actually see her dog clamp down on your dog, I will put together a circumstantial case for you, Mr. Owensby, that will even satisfy Miss Amel. Okay, so this medical report is from the 15th, the day of the incident. The veterinary report says, unfortunately, Tippy was bitten today in the face by another dog, which resulted in a protosed eye. As the eye was so far out, and because Tippy is already blind from a cataract and has some glaucoma issues, we made the decision to remove the eye. With this degree of propotus, there would have not been any chance of vision in any case. The blood work we did, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, the dog's name is Tippy, has been diagnosed with propotus, which is a forward displacement of the eyeball. The condition occurs most frequently in breeds with prominent eyes, like Pekingese, and usually occurs as a result of trauma to the head. Okay, so did you actually see the dog?
Yes, ma'am, I did, and she did also.
She did probably also as well.
I grabbed her dog's tail and pulled her back, and she let go of my dog. I picked up my dog, and I couldn't see her because I had her back like this, and Rebecca says, "Is she okay?" And I turned her around and looked, and her eye was hanging out of the socket, which pictures here.
Okay. Now, do you want to give me your explanation as to why you don't feel you're responsible for these veterinary bills?
We were on common ground. We share an address. Both dogs were off leash.
All true.
My dog, I saw what happened. I saw the tension between the two dogs. I never saw Bear.
Your dog bit his dog in the eye. Had a trauma to the head. There's no question about that.
Okay.
I want you to leave that out. So far, I didn't disagree with you. You were on common ground. Both dogs were unleashed, and your dog caused injury to his dog.
I am not too sure of that, solely
no,
because...
I'm sure. And I'm the only one that has to be sure. So once having made that decision, and I'm making that decision that your dog caused trauma to the plaintiff's dog, which resulted in the eye being removed on the 15th.
Then explain to me why Marvin told me, his veterinary told him that her own adrenaline could have popped out the eye on her own. That's what I was told.
Just a second. I'm reading the veterinary records. What I'm telling you is I have made that judgment that your dog caused the injury which required the surgery that day on his dog. Now, there are several variables. Both your dogs were off leash. That is true. Neither one of the dogs was trespassing on the property of the other. That's also true. That still begs the question, why you think that you are not responsible for these veterinary bills. Do you want to answer that?
Yes, I would like to. I was not present during the altercation.
Because I've already given you a statement of facts that you must accept, because I'm the fact finder, as true. You had a healthy dog, a dog that was normal, on April 15th. There was an altercation with your dog. The dog then had eye surgery. Your wife acknowledges that there was tension between the dogs, but she didn't see any shaking of the dog, which might have heightened the trauma, although the plaintiff says that both he and your wife saw that there was an attachment of your dog to their dog's head.
To back up a little bit, we feel that we're not responsible for this because we were not provided adequate trash receptacles when we moved into the property. And in order for us to take our trash out, we then had to walk down the street, basically, empty our cans in the main part of the house, their cans, and even sometimes having to go down the street to put them in other cans.
Into neighbors' cans if it doesn't fit.
So basically, the reason we don't feel we're we're
What does that have
responsible.
to do with the dog?
Because if we were provided trash receptacles,
Dog. We're talking about dog. She was taking the garbage out. What does that have to do with the dog?
because
Dog
if
take the
we
trash out?
Shut up! Hey,
Yes, ma'am.
what does that have to do with the dog?
because if we were provided adequate trash receptacles, we never would have been over near his end of the property in the first
You know,
place.
that you look like a reasonably intelligent man. That is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. I mean, if that's your defense, you're making my job very, very easy, sir. Because if your wife had to take the garbage around the corner, unless you're telling me that the dog holds the garbage, then there's no reason for her to have taken the dog out unleashed to take out the trash.
Basically, it's uninhabitability. That's the main issue, is the uninhabitability aspect of us not having trash is what caused the altercation.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
How old is she?
28.
Do you work?
Yes, I do.
Does she work?
No, she does not.
So she stays home,
Yes, yes.
and you exist on your income.
Yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
Move!
Right on.
You don't like where you're living? Move! You don't sit there and complain. I don't like this and I don't like that. They didn't do this for me and they didn't give me a trash can. They did. You're 28 years old. You look like a perfectly able-bodied person. She looks perfectly able-bodied. I don't know why she doesn't work.
I gave birth to my baby the very next day after this because of the stress of it.
I want
And
to
so
tell
I'm
you
a
something.
stay-at-home mom.
I want to tell you something. I had babies. I also worked. So if what you're telling me is you can't move because you don't have money to move, then have two people work. But don't say it's uninhabitable. If the place is uninhabitable, don't habit it.
Correct.
Move. Because that is an absolutely ridiculous defense.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, Marvin Owensby says his tenants, Rebecca and Christopher Amell, owe for vet bills after their pit bull attacked his Pekingese. Marvin says his dog lost her eye in the attack.
And by the way, that also takes care of your counterclaim, because your counterclaim is as follows. You don't like the way the place looks. It's unsafe for you and your family to be there. Let me see what else you say here. My landlord, Marvin, that's him, is supposed to provide a safe and legal living environment. We have been forced to, but that doesn't mean they can get away with that, not paying for it. He owes a special assessment. He owes for labor of installing a toilet and carpet. Why don't you move?
There's
Why
mold
don't
inside
you
of our home.
move? You're going to tell me how terrible it is? I'm going to come back to you. Move.
So break the lease?
Move. He wants you out.
We've already told them they can
Just a
move.
second. He wants you out. He's saying right here, we have a tape here. You want to move out next month? Move.
Goodbye.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Toodaloo and goodbye.
Sooner the better.
You're 28 years old enough to make a baby. You're old enough to pick yourself up and move to a safe environment.
Correct.
And you acknowledge that if they move out at the end of this month, at the end of this week, at the end of this hour, you will not sue them for breaking the lease.
No, we already told them that.
Perfect. 1683, judgment for the plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did witness the eye protruding out. I did see that.
This little girl, she's my life.
My animal stopped just as quick as it started.
I take her everywhere except restaurants and grocery shopping.
And it was scary for both of us because it had never happened before.
You have to be responsible for your own reactions and your animals.
Try not to get your homes on Craigslist.
Like she said, if they don't like the place, they can move.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sutter versus Auger, step forward.
Susan Sutter is suing her daughter's ex-boyfriend, Josh Auger, for unpaid rent, damaged property, and an assault.
Miss Sutter, this is your daughter's ex-boyfriend. It is your claim that he lived with you for a while. He was supposed to pay you rent. He didn't. You had an argument with him. You say he's responsible for your broken computer that you were holding, and he put his hands on you. Mr. Auger says that there was never an agreement for him to pay rent, and the rest of it is a lot of baloney. It never happened.
Correct.
Now, how long, Mr. Auger, did you live with the Sutters?
From June 2012 until March 2013.
And how old was their daughter when you were living?
25.
And how old are you?
I'm 35.
Did you share a room with their daughter?
I did.
And were you working at the time?
Off and on. I'm a musician, a vocalist. I had gigs from time to time.
Well, I assume you don't make a living being a musician.
Not a very good one, no.
How do you support yourself?
I was focused on my music full time at that time.
And what about now? Are you still focused on your music?
I am, but I'm also looking for a day job.
That's what you got to do.
Yes.
There are a lot of talented people out there. Till somebody plucks them out of the crowd, you have to be able to put bread on the table, Mr. Auger. What was your girlfriend doing?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Was she working?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
You'd have to ask her, Your Honor. I don't know.
Does she have children?
No, Your Honor.
So that the two of you would just lay around the house most of the time. If you weren't doing your music, you were in Miss Sutter's house, just sort of hanging around.
Working on music or otherwise.
Well, whatever. You were hanging around. You know, if I had children that were 25, 35 years old, and they were working on their music, but I had to look at them when I passed through the kitchen, I would say they're just laying around the house watching TV and listening to music and doing what you're doing. So Mrs. Sutter allowed her 25-year-old daughter to do nothing.
That wasn't my choice for her to do nothing.
No, but you allowed her to live in your home and do nothing. And you allowed her to bring a boy into the house, excuse me, not a boy, a man into the house and also do nothing.
I wasn't happy about it.
Well, I don't care whether you're happy about it. Don't give them a key. Lock them out. Lock them both out.
Well, Your Honor, it's pretty tough to put your own child on the street. I can't do that.
No, but don't let your own child.
She had jobs.
Listen to me. You're right. It's very hard to put your own child out in the street, but I wouldn't let her bring home another unemployed person to hang around with her, because then she has a playmate. There is no reason in the world for her to get off her duff and find something productive to do. So I want you to understand that I'm awarding you any money for rent. I don't do rent for boyfriends that come and sleep with their girlfriends in somebody's house. Do you understand? That's your stupidity. I don't reward that.
I tried to get him to sign an agreement. He wouldn't do it.
I don't care if you wanted him to sign an agreement in blood. Do you have a written agreement with him that he's going to pay rent? The answer is yes or no. No. I'm not giving you any money for rent. You want to allow somebody who's unemployed to come and live with your unemployed daughter and stay in her room?
That's not exactly...
Good for you. Where is your daughter now?
She's at a friend's birthday party.
I mean, where does she live, is my question.
She lives with me.
So she still lives with you?
And she's trying to find a job. It's very difficult. She's been putting in applications. She's had a few interviews.
Let her babysit. Let her help out with tidying up houses. There are lots of things that you can do instead of staying around. So you're enabling her to do nothing. Now I want you to tell me how you say he broke your computer.
With a physical altercation.
No, I want you to show me. Who is this?
Don. This is a roommate of mine. He's been there.
He's a roommate.
Yes.
Good. I want you, Don. Stand up. And I want you to show me how he broke your computer.
When I told Josh to move out, he started picking up things that he felt belonged to him, but the laptop did not.
Just a second. You told him he had to move out, and are you facing him, or is his back towards you?
It was... Pretend this is the laptop.
Yes. So he was pulling the laptop because he said it was his?
Yes.
Just a second. Whose laptop was it?
Mine.
Were you pulling on the laptop, sir?
There was a pulling on the laptop, yes.
Why was there pulling on the laptop, Mr. Rogan?
I was under the understanding that that laptop was given to me from her.
From whom?
From Susan.
Absolutely.
Miss Sutter?
Yes.
Well, I want you to tell me what it was that led you to believe that when you went to get the laptop, it was your laptop.
Miss Sutter had told me as much.
When did that happen?
Months prior.
Well, tell me the event. I want to hear it.
Miss Sutter's boyfriend, he had purchased a new laptop, from what I understand, and had this one, which was a hand-me-down, which, through some conversation between her and the boyfriend, it was passed down to us, Virginia and I.
So it wasn't necessarily yours, it was yours and Virginia's?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, show me the receipt from the purchase of the laptop.
I do not have one from my friend in Colorado.
How much did you pay for it, and what proof do you have?
I paid $250, and we did not write anything out.
I don't believe you. Next.
What?
Next.
You didn't?
No, I don't believe you.
Did it?
No. Next. Now you say he assaulted you. I want you to tell me how that happened.
By physically jerking me around when he had this laptop. He wouldn't let go. My daughter's the one who got him to let go.
You mean let go of the laptop?
Yes.
Did you go to the hospital?
No.
Did you go to the doctor?
No.
Did you call the police?
No.
Did you report an assault?
No.
Goodbye, Miss Sutter. Thank you very much. That's all.
We're
done. We're done.
Parties are excused. May step out.
He agreed to pay some rent.
She's the mother of her daughter, and her daughter and I
felt like he manipulated me and used me.
Fell out.
For everything he could get.
I can't expect her to side with me.
Yeah, we're not going to let that happen again.
And I'm really thankful to put this behind me.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Seno versus Rademacher, step forward.
Amateo Seno is suing his former live-in girlfriend, Lisa Rademacher, for the return of a coin collection taken from his safe. Lisa is countersuing for medical bills as a result of an assault.
Mr. Seno, the defendant is your former live-in girlfriend. Your lawsuit is about some coins. You and the defendant had an argument one evening that developed into a volatile argument, and according to you, you picked up something, a soap bottle, in anger, and you tossed it, and unfortunately it hit the defendant in the face. According to you left the house in order to cool off, and at some point later you came back, locks had been changed, and when you finally did get back into the house, you found that the little safe that you had where you kept these coins was open and the safe was empty, coins were gone. The defendant says that you did in fact take your coins, but you told her that she could keep your coins because it was just before the rent was due, so she had to cover the rent, so you told her to keep the coins. She has a counterclaim for the assault, and what she says will be the necessity for plastic surgery on her face to get rid of whatever scar is there, which I'm sure that you'll show me, and you'll show me what the report is from your plastic surgeon. So why don't we start with you, Ms. Rademacher. This argument took place on what date?
It took place on August 30th.
And I'd like you to tell me about the assault portion of that argument.
Well, he was upset. He's very jealous. And so he got upset and he called me stupid and picked up a soap bottle and just threw it right at me, and it hit me right in the face and sliced it open.
Show me where the cut was, from where to where?
From like right, I can't see, but like from right here to here. I have a picture of it.
I'd like to take a look at the picture. Okay. And what
That's
time
before,
of the what
and this
time
is
of
after.
the day? What kind of
getting
the,
healed.
What time of the day?
That's before, and the other one's after. It healed.
I mean, do you take medication? Do you take any medication?
No.
Good. And try to pay attention to what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
I ask the questions, you answer the questions.
Okay.
What time of the day or evening did this happen?
It was in the morning.
What time?
Around 10 a.m.
Had you both slept at home that evening?
Yes.
So the argument started when you both woke up?
It had actually started the night before.
Yeah.
We had gone out, and he gets jealous, like if other men look at me or things like that. So he was already like revved up from the night before. So in the morning, he just got out of control.
It continued. Okay. I'd like to see the medical report that you have.
Yeah, I don't have a medical report.
What do you mean you don't have a medical report? You say you need plastic surgery.
Yeah, just to remove the scar from, because I already have a plastic surgeon. And
how am I supposed to figure out how much that is?
Well, there's a lot of different factors, but if you get anesthesia, so I just did the lowest possible, like, estimate, which was like $3,200. So.
All right, Miss Rademacher, so let me understand this. He sliced your face open and you sought no medical care. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I don't have insurance, so.
You don't need insurance to go to an emergency room if somebody slices your face open. Do you have a police report?
Yeah, I do.
I'd like to see it.
I don't have it with me.
Well, where is it?
It's at home.
Why is it at home?
I was in a rush this morning.
Okay. Where are his coins?
His coins are...
No.
Oh, okay.
Don't think about what you're going to say to me.
Okay.
Where are his coins?
They're spent.
Oh, they're spent. Well, you spent his coins, then you get nothing on your counterclaim. How's that? How's that?
Well, that was for rent.
How's that? You spent his coins, you get zero on your counterclaim. Whatever his coins were worth, that's what I was going to award you on your counterclaim. Because I don't actually buy either one of you. I think you're both either loaded or I don't know what. You tell me that the coins are worth $5,000, probably worth a lot less than $5,000, because I don't think you actually have any proof of what you paid for them that I'm going to believe. That I'm going to believe. So what I'm going to say to you is as follows, because it's going to make my life much easier so I don't even have to stretch my muscles. I'm awarding you, sir, $5,000 for your coins. I'm awarding her $5,000 for throwing a bottle in her face. You each get nothing.
Please excuse me, step out.
I think that she's in a bad mood or something today.
I'm a little jealous at times.
Obviously, I have a scar. I suffered. I'm a girl.
I was a little upset that morning after going to sleep. Upset about the same subject. We woke up with it.
Girls, if they get scars or anything on their face, it's very, it's traumatizing.
And out of anger, I did throw something at her. I had my part in this.
It was I don't have medical insurance, and it was a gash.
Just like the blues song say, I was locked out. The message was loud and clear.
You could tell it wasn't stitches. It was like in between.
I mean, love is not a light switch for me. I can't turn it on and off that easily.
I just think that he needs anger management, and he just has anger problem.
I have feelings for her, but I'm really upset with some of her choices and how she lives her life.
I just can't. You can't put up with violence.
I'd like to think that maybe there's hope. We'll see.
I don't know.
Folks have a seat.
Mr. Gibson, it is your claim that the defendant is responsible for an accident that occurred while you were riding your motorcycle. And the fault you ascribe to her is that she allowed her unleashed dog to run out into the road, which caused the traffic accident, and you were a byproduct of that accident.
Yes.
Ms. Funk says that there is no evidence that A, that her dog ran out into the road, thereby causing the accident, and B, even if that were so, part of the fault of that accident can be ascribed to your driving too fast. So I gather from reading this complaint that this took place at sort of a state park area. Is that right?
It was a picnic area. It's called Banks Beach. It's alongside the highway. They have picnic tables there. They have a swimming beach there. They have a small parking area there.
I see a lot of cars. Were those cars parked on a highway? The green cars?
Alongside the highway, yes.
On what day did this occur?
July the 6th of 2013.
What time of the day?
Around 5 p.m.
You were on your motorcycle?
Yes.
You were driving with other people?
Yes. Dennis and Vicki Wallace, my witnesses. Dennis was in front, Vicki was second, and I was third.
Dennis, could you stand up next to Mr. Gibson? Now, Mr. Wallace, you were first. Where had you and your wife, is your wife?
Yes.
Been coming from?
We were coming up from a little resort town north. It was called Warm Lake. It's about 125 miles north of where we live.
And you were going where?
We were just on our way home. We'd gone for a day ride, and we'd gone up there for lunch, and we're on our return ride.
You've been riding motorcycles with your wife for how long?
Nearly all my life. I've been riding 45 years. She's been solo now for about 6.
Before that, you rode together?
Yes, we did, ma'am.
Good for you. And Mr. Gibson, what about you?
I've been riding probably for about 50 years.
Do all of you have other modes of transportation?
Yes.
Cars?
Yeah.
So this is really recreational driving for you?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Wallace, you were involved in the accident.
Yes.
Tell me what happened to you.
About a mile from where this accident happened, there's a little town called Banks, and as we rolled through there, this was, again, the 4th of July weekend. There was a lot of traffic, and you're basically just in the, as we call it, the parade, because everybody's on their way home. As we went through Banks, I checked our speed. It's a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. We were doing, I think, around 50 as we came through that town. And I noticed a dog run out just between the cars and the car in front of me, and my reaction was that car stopping. So I immediately started braking, and my closest way out was the center line between the traffic. And so as I was slowing down, my wife overtook me on her bike skidding, and I was actually turned and watched her impact the SUV just as I went past the back end of the SUV.
So the maroon car is the SUV that you're
Correct.
talking about?
Yes.
And you say that car did slow down?
It stopped.
It stopped. You managed to get around the car.
Yes.
Your wife did not. So she hit the back of the SUV.
Right.
And the SUV stopped because you say you saw a dog running out into the road.
Yes, I saw a glimpse of a dog between the parked traffic and the car in front of me.
Were you injured?
Not until I was struck by Mr. Gibson.
So you managed to get
Yes.
Your wife is now stopped because she slammed into the rear of the SUV that stopped for the dog.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Gibson, I'd like you to tell me what happened that caused you to impact with Mr. Wallace.
Okay, I was third in line coming up there. I saw the SUV stop.
Did you see the dog at all?
No, I did not see the dog.
Okay.
I saw Dennis go around to the left of the SUV down the center line. I saw that.
And this is a two-way traffic.
Two-way traffic, yeah.
So there's a single lane of traffic.
Yes. So I see the SUV stop in the traffic lane. I see Dennis go to the left of the SUV down the yellow line. That's my only way out, is to follow him. I glance over quickly. I see Vicky hit the back of the SUV. And then I glance back over to see where I'm going on my escape route. Dennis has stopped in front of me.
So he stopped and you hit him.
Yes.
So now I'm going to come back to you. Were you injured?
When I was struck by Richard, I was, yes.
Tell me what kind of injuries you sustained.
Mostly bruising from the waist down on both legs, and I had bruising even in my arches, but I think it was just as my bike was being knocked out from underneath me that I came back up over the saddlebags and the backrest, and like I say, it was pretty much just bruising from the waist down.
And your wife, what kind of injuries did she sustain?
She held on her handlebars, pivoted up. I estimate the impact at between 5 and 8 miles an hour. She came up, impacted the back of the SUV, back on her bike, and then fell over. Her teeth hit the top of the windshield, and she busted out 5 teeth.
Would you sit down for a moment, Mr. Wallace? Ms. Wallace, can I have you up at the stand, please? Did you see the dog?
I did not.
How far back were you from the SUV when you saw its brake lights?
I never saw the SUV's brake lights. I saw my husband's brake lights and reacted to his reaction.
Brake lights?
Yes.
Were you injured?
Yes, I was.
Other than the teeth?
I have a bone up here that's broken.
Are either you or your husband involved in a lawsuit against any party?
No.
Did you have insurance?
Yes.
Did your insurance cover your bikes?
Yes.
Did your insurance cover your medical bills?
My health insurance did.
Now, Mr. Gibson, you are number 3 in line. You went around, collided. Did you have insurance on your bike?
I just had liability insurance.
Just liability?
Yes.
Was your bike ruined?
Yes.
How old was it?
It was a 2003.
Now, as far as your injuries are concerned, would you tell me what they were again?
I had a banged up right kneecap, and then the muscles on my left leg were...
Were you hospitalized?
No, Your Honor.
Now, Mrs. Wallace was severely, I call that severely and permanently injured. She lost 5 teeth, or pieces of 5 teeth, which cannot be replaced, at least by her own. She has a broken bone, so she clearly was the most seriously injured. And I'm just curious, before we even get to the defendant, why do you think that the Wallaces are not suing Ms. Funk?
I don't know.
Why don't you tell me?
Because I just don't do that. Everything is covered, so...
Okay. Have you gotten estimates on your bike?
Yes, I have.
How many do you have?
I just have one from the Yamaha dealer. I do have estimates of the replacement value also.
I'd like to take a look at both.
Okay. Here's the estimate for the repair.
Purchased the bike?
It was in 2007.
And how much did you pay for it in 2007?
I paid $6,000.
And it's about $3,500 replacement value if it's in excellent condition. Okay, Ms. Funk. So we have lovely afternoon at the beach. Why don't you tell me what happened at 5 o'clock?
I was with 2 friends and 3 children and my dog, Ginger. We were swimming in the river. Next thing I knew, my witness was yelling at me, and I also heard a family hollering at, I wasn't really sure what, but there was some commotion from another family that was also there at the beach.
But your dog wasn't with you at the moment?
Correct.
Had you seen your dog leave? You were swimming with the dog in the river?
Correct.
At some point you saw the dog leave the water, I assume?
Yes.
At what point did you see the dog leave the water?
When I went upstream a little bit with my witness's daughter and came back down, Ginger was getting out of the water.
So you were swimming with your witness's daughter and you lost sight of your dog for a while. There was only one dog in the group?
Correct.
And that was your dog?
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Rick Gibson says dog owner Christy Funk is responsible for an accident that occurred when Christy's unleashed dog ran into traffic.
Okay. Why don't you stand up? Tell me your last name.
Burgoyne.
So, Miss Funk is swimming with your daughter. How old is your daughter?
14.
Had you seen them go into the river to start swimming?
Yes.
And where was the dog? Where was Ginger?
Ginger there's this little sandbar. There's the bank that comes down, a little sandbar, and then the water from the river kind of goes back here, and it's a waiting area for children because the water's not very deep. So Ginger had come from that area here where it bridges, and she got out of the water.
Did you follow her when she got out of the water?
Yes, I did.
Okay, let me hear what you did.
I followed her because I noticed that she's getting out of the water, and I didn't know why she was getting out of the water until I looked up ahead, and there was a family up at the top because the bank is quite steep up to the road, and there was a family at the top that was screaming for their little girl, and I saw a little blonde-haired girl that was probably about 6 or 7, and I saw the dog follow the little girl up to the top.
You saw the dog go up the embankment?
Up the embankment.
Yes.
And I was calling for her to come back to me. And she went along the road where the parked cars and the trees and the rocks are, and she popped back down towards me around a tree. And as she came down about 5 feet, so she was closer to me now, I grabbed her by the collar and I walked her the rest of the way down to the swimming area where we were.
Accidents happen. I know what your witness is trying to tell me, that the dog actually didn't go out into the road. But that's not true. The driver of that SUV was being very vigilant and stopped the car. The confluence of coincidences. At the same time, the dog is at the top of the road, a SUV that's traveling at a reasonable rate of speed stops dead on a single-lane highway just at about the time your dog is at the top of the embankment. That's too coincidental for a normal person. I'm a normal person. Nobody meant for this accident to happen. Some people say if it happens, and if you're in a situation like this, you're not supposed to stop for a dog or for an animal. Because if you do, you can cause somebody to get killed. She could have gotten killed. If she were going faster, she would have gotten killed. I mean, if she were going 30, 40 miles an hour, and if she hit the back of the SUV, she would have lost a lot more than 5 teeth. You know that. So she wasn't speeding. These aren't exactly motorcycle gang people. At least they don't look like motorcycle gang people to me. They're sport riders. So you're very fortunate that the Wallaces have the kind of attitude that they have, which is, you know, we have other things in our lives, and we don't have to sue somebody for something that was really an accident. But Mr. Gibson, unfortunately, doesn't have the same kind of insurance that they do, so he's not going to be made whole unless he's made whole by somebody who lost track of their dog. And I don't know whether there is a leash policy in the park or not. It really is not relevant. You have to be in a position of maintaining control over your dog at all times. You may take it off the leash, but then you do so at your own peril. If you lose control over the dog and the dog causes injury, then you're responsible. So you're really very lucky that none of these people were more seriously injured. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was 4th of July weekend, a lot of traffic, a lot of children, a lot of dogs off leash.
I think it was just a really unfortunate day.
I don't remember a whole lot other than being worried my mom was going to kill me.
You know, we're able to stand here, the three of us, after being in this motorcycle accident. Fortunately, because of Judge Judy's ruling, I'll be able to replace my motorcycle. But I can't replace my friends. And that's the most important part.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Harmony, I'm going to start with you. What kind of a premises do you live in?
House. Single family, detached.
And you rent rooms in the house?
I do.
How many renters do you have?
Right now, none. But normally I have one, sometimes two. Property taxes are coming up.
Don't give me a... Sometimes one, sometimes two.
Yes.
When was the last time you had 2 renters?
With Jeanette Peranio and the other fellow that I had.
And what is the other fellow's name?
Jared.
When did he move out?
He moved out on October the 1st.
How much rent was he paying?
He was paying $700 a month.
How long was he there?
Since May.
May to October?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Prior to him, who was your tenant?
I had one tenant.
Name?
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
When was he there? From when to when?
He was there from November through May.
May of 2013?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how did you find the room in her house?
I was speaking with a coworker at my place of work,
And Miss Harmony was a customer at the time in the store, and she looked like she needed help. So me and my coworker both stopped to see what she needed. And instead, she said, I overheard you talking that you needed a room, and I have a room.
And when was that?
Friday, August 30th, when that happened.
You went and looked at the room?
I did.
And you decided to take the room?
I did.
And when were you moving in?
The next day.
And what was the rent?
$700 a month.
And you had a lease?
Yeah, it was a first and last month to month.
First and last, so you had to give her $1,400.
I did.
We gave her $1,400 on August 31st?
On August 30th.
Did you sign any lease with her?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Oh, all mixed up.
This isn't a lease because it's not signed.
Yeah, she gave me a copy unsigned.
Do you have a signed copy of the lease?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it, please. I only have your signature on here. Is that right? Whose signature
No,
is
that's Jeanette's.
Where's your signature?
I don't have I didn't take a copy. This is a copy I pulled off the computer. What I did is I signed both copies, gave
This is not a, listen to me, this is not a signed contract because it only contains one signature. Do you understand? It's not a signed contract because there's only one signature.
All right. It's not the original. It's not the original.
I don't care whether it's the original. I'm a court. You have a contract. If you have a contract in writing, the writing must be signed by both parties. I don't have that.
Version control.
What?
Version control. Basically, I have the copy.
Okay, you do not have a written contract. There are certain formalities to a written contract. A written contract is in writing, but it must be signed by both parties. And I don't have that. She doesn't have it. You're the landlord.
And I didn't bring it with me.
Well, then it doesn't exist. For my purposes, for this court hearing, it doesn't exist. Anyway, you moved in on August 31st, and there was a problem, according to you, almost immediately. What was the problem?
Well, in the beginning, before I rented the room, I stated that I work 40-plus hours a week. It's a very physical job, and I'm also a student with a 4.0, and it's so important to me, my rest and quiet. I was assured that that would be the case. There was
fine, but that's really, unless you put that in writing, that's a condition. She has no contract. But unless you put that in writing, all this whole story that you're giving me is really not important. What happened when you moved in? Because if what you're saying is that the room was uninhabitable because of noise, tell me about it.
Yeah, Sundays are my Mondays and they're early days. And
look at me.
I go to sleep early and I wake up early. So I went to sleep, and yeah, it was my first night, and yeah, it's a new place, so I figured there'd be a little bit of, less
getting used to.
Yeah. So, I pushed that aside, but at the same
What kind of noise was it?
The TV, loud. Every time I tried to fall asleep, the
Whose TV?
Anne Marie's in the living room, which is outside of my room.
So now we're past August 31st, you moved in, so you had a sleepless night August 31st.
Correct.
And then what happened?
Okay, had a sleepless night. The next night, I just felt the energy was off. I needed sleep. I went back to my old place up on the hill where the plumbing burst. That's the place I had to leave. So I laid some blankets down and I slept on the floor to get some rest. Went to work the next day. And I had called her, let her know, asked her to let me out of the contract so that she can find somebody a better fit and I can find a better place.
Great. And
Okay.
you said?
And I said, I have a contract.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You have nothing.
You
have nothing.
an agreement with you that the first and last months are non-refundable. What I can do for you is I can show your room to somebody else. If somebody else takes the room, then I will make up the difference and refund you from the point that somebody else takes the room.
Fabulous. I want you to listen to me very carefully. She saw the room on August 30th. That you agree. That's when you met. That's when you had this discussion, I have a room. So there was nobody in the room. I've gone through the list of people that you had living in the room, in your house, and when they were living in the house. So you did not turn away any other renters. So you suffered no loss. In that one day, you suffered no loss. It was serendipitous that you overheard this conversation. So I don't want you to think that you're Clarence Darrow, because you're not. What she said was that the TV was too loud, she couldn't sleep there. And then I assumed that there was some discussion about it.
No, there was none. As a matter of fact, I introduced the subject initially. I told her that this was going to be under construction for a month, 20 working days.
What was going to be under construction?
That the entire house, and that was what I told her at the store. I told her the windows were all going to be removed, and the doors were going to be removed, and that new heating, air conditioning...
Find another tenant. Find another tenant. You got to pay her $100 for the couple of days that you were there. $1,300. Now,
so I agreed to find another tenant.
Listen to me. Go find another tenant. You owe her $1,300. Now I'm going to entertain your counterclaim. Let's hear it. Quickly. Quickly.
The day that she moved out, she had called the police saying that she did not feel safe there on Tuesday night. She had not expected to show up because I said he rarely shows up. I think he has a girlfriend. He showed up basically she...
Would you please
getting to the point. She was very pugnacious. She tried to engage me in a physical altercation. I would go back to my room and shut the door. She was upset because she wanted to see
She wanted her rent back.
But she hadn't moved out yet.
Just a second. Listen to me. She asked you. You said no. I'll show your room. If I find another tenant, I'll give you your rent back. So now the two of you are at odds.
Yes.
You're counterclaiming for assault. I want to know. Shh. Could have all been resolved very easily, Miss Harmony. All you had to do was say to her, listen, here's $1,300. You don't want to be in my house. I certainly don't want you to be in my house if you don't want to be here. I suffered no loss. You were here for one day. I didn't have the room rented before. This is a single-family house. We don't want to be unpleasant. Instead, you said, I'm keeping your money. Now, I want you to tell me in 30 seconds how she assaulted you.
Okay.
And where you received medical treatment for the assault.
Didn't receive medical treatment for the assault.
So, if you didn't receive medical treatment, if you didn't receive medical treatment, then the law says that that's an attempted assault because she didn't hurt you.
No, she just grabbed me and she grabbed my purse.
Okay. Goodbye, Miss Harmony. You owe her $1,300. That's all. Thank you.
As long as I excuse you, step out.
Thank God. That's what I'm saying right now.
She hounded me on the telephone. She called me until the first.
Because it was not a good experience for me. It left me homeless.
It was an unpleasant experience.
If possible in my life, I'm never going to live with another stranger again.
She was unusual. She was an unusual.
Unpaid rent and eviction costs.
Ms. Birkland, how long had you lived in your residence?
Prior to the defendant moving in?
Yes.
2 years.
And how long did you live there with the defendant?
A total of 5 years.
You lived
with the
in
defendant, I'm sorry, 3 years.
3 years.
This month would have been.
And for most of that 3-year period, what kind of work do you know that the defendant did?
Computer work and music producing.
How do you support yourself, sir?
I produce music. I don't do computer work.
Produce music for whom?
Various artists and brands and whatever.
How long have you been doing that?
Since I was 13 years old.
How old are you now?
32.
You have a corporation or an LLC?
Not currently standing, but I do have one that is out of commission right now that needs to be reestablished.
When was the last time you filed tax returns?
Last
April.
Last April, yeah.
And on your tax returns that you filed, how much did you indicate that you earned?
I receive royalties from a company called, and they take my taxes out automatically, so I'm not sure how much.
I'm asking you how much you reported your gross income was when you filed your tax returns in April. You didn't file tax returns in April.
I assume that they're filed automatically through this company that pays me.
Mr. Lefkowitz, when was the last time you put a stamp on tax returns that you sent to the government?
I do not know.
Ever? Think?
No.
Ever?
Like I said, where I make most of my money, if not all my money, comes through a company called, which they take out the taxes automatically before paying me. So I've never filed through that. I just assumed that it was already taken care of in that way.
You assumed wrong.
Okay.
Okay. There came a time, Mr. Lefkowitz, you lived there for 3 years, but there came a time when you stopped paying rent.
Correct.
And what was your rent when you moved in with the plaintiff?
$1,200 a month.
You had your own room?
Yes.
Bathroom?
Yes.
On past work.
Yes.
And you've been existing on that for how long?
8 years or so.
So how much do you make from these royalties? You pay $1,200 a month rent, you have a car.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh, it's not an answer.
Yes.
You have a
how
car.
much do I make?
So you have a car, you have insurance.
Yes.
What kind of car do you have?
I have a Honda Clarity.
What year?
It's a lease. It's a 2021.
And how much do you pay a month for the lease?
$395.
Does that include insurance or does it not include insurance?
It does not include insurance.
So you pay an additional how much for insurance?
About $350.
So you spend $700 a month for your car.
Correct.
And let's get back to, you moved in October of 2019, your rent was $1,200 a month. And you lived there until when?
Until about 2 months ago. So September 4th or 3rd is when I moved all my stuff out.
And when was the last month you paid rent?
That would have been in December of 2021.
So you lived there January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, and part of September. So at least 8 months that you lived there and didn't pay rent.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't there for August.
No.
Why not?
I was evicted.
When?
The exact date is August 2nd. I do have my paperwork for notice to vacate and all that.
Just a second.
Sure.
On August 2nd of 20...
I'm sorry, that was the court date, and that's when the judgment was made, was August 2nd.
And when did you move out?
2 weeks later.
That's not true.
And you were evicted for non-payment of rent?
Yes, for 2 months. Yes.
Just a second. You were evicted for non-payment of rent?
Yes, for 2 months.
Well, show me that it was for 2 months. I just want to see that it was for 2 months and what 2 months those were.
That page right there.
No, you didn't leave until, let's say, September 1st.
That sounds more like it.
You didn't leave until September 1st.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I did mistakenly speak. I do remember that the judge...
Don't tell me what the judge said. I'm asking you when you left.
Gave me 6 weeks from that date of August 8th.
What
so
A few days before.
Fine, that's at about the same time.
She actually left after that. I talked to a neighbor that said around the 14th that she was still there.
You can't tell me what the neighbor said. Sorry, that's why I stopped you before.
Well, I know there's a moratorium for COVID, and the government shut my business down.
That's what he
so
says.
I knew that I had protection.
He's saying the exact same thing you are in his answer. You two are soulmates.
Hey, no, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Shannon Berkland claims her former roommate, Ian Lefkowitz, is responsible for unpaid rent.
Okay, this eviction notice is dated May 26, and it says that you didn't pay April or May.
Correct.
But both of you lived there in June. Did you pay June?
Yes.
Show me proof. Show me proof that you paid June and July. Show me proof you didn't pay April and May. Show me proof that you paid.
My proof?
Your proof.
Is in the fact that I don't owe any rent except for when the moratorium lapsed and I...
No.
I don't have a receipt. I don't have a receipt for payment.
Then just... And you didn't pay for April, May, June, and July. I know you didn't pay for August. There's no question you didn't pay for August, and you were actually there in August, so you didn't pay for 5 months.
I guess, yes.
Okay, yes. And the reason that you didn't pay rent for those 5 months was what?
I had spent all my savings on paying rent, and I had none left. I paid as much as I could, supporting him.
Just a second.
The best I could, and I...
What happened is you both sort of took advantage of this rent moratorium.
Not true.
Well, if you didn't pay rent for April, May, June, July, and August, what were you doing?
Waiting for him to pay his rent because I couldn't afford to pay for my station.
Just a second.
Yeah.
You didn't pay any rent. You did what he says.
So I knew that I had protection.
That's what he says. He's saying the exact same thing you are in his answer.
Did he go to court and do the paperwork and do the filings and
Who cares?
And I do.
Who cares? I don't. Each of you seems to be living. You operate your hair business out of your house.
In addition to another business, yes.
Whatever. You operate your hair business out of the house. He operates, I don't know what he does, but I know he's 32 years old, supports himself, spends $700 a month on a car, spent for a long time $1,200 a month rent, and can't remember the last year or the last decade that he filed tax returns. So whatever it is, this is your problem, Miss Birkeland, and this is what I actually didn't understand when I read your complaint, because what you're looking for is 8 months' rent from him.
Correct.
You didn't pay the rent.
I shouldn't be evicted. I asked him to leave every month that he didn't pay me.
Should have read a cutter.
I had a business as a hairdresser, and I went out to rent a station, and I was out for 4 months to pay for a station.
It doesn't
because
matter.
I wanted to go back to be my nice space that I had created for myself, and I've worked my butt off for, and my clients liked. I wasn't getting paid rent for his room. I wanted to move my studio into his. Been easy, and this home was the one thing that I've worked my ass off for. It's the only thing in life that I loved besides my
Miss Birkeland, did you say to your landlord,
yes,
I have a roommate.
Yes.
He's not paying me his half of the rent, but I want to show you in good faith, I am going to give you my portion of the rent. You didn't do that.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Well, show me. Just a second. Show me. All I know is they say this is your evidence for the full amount of the rent for April and May. And I know you didn't pay June, July, August, and September. I know you didn't pay that. So I'm asking you, just show me some proof, Miss Birkeland, that you said to your landlord, who is also in business. Well, we have a rent moratorium. I'm not in any worse position now than before, so I'm just not going to pay rent.
Your Honor, I was...
Just show me that you made partial payment to the landlord for April, May, June, July, and August.
I don't have that because I was protected under the law.
Okay, good. And so is he. Case is dismissed. We're finished. Goodbye. Goodbye. Listen,
I can prove
you two are so.
You're just attempted to pay full rent.
You two,
gone, and I was able to bring my business into the house.
You two are soulmates. You both relied.
No, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Out.
This court is adjourned.
Soulmates. You both took advantage of a law, and you both lost. Goodbye.
I have nowhere to operate both of my businesses. I created one during COVID.
We both exercised our rights under California tenant laws.
Which I would have had I had a room that he wouldn't leave.
You know, that's just what it is.
Every month I pleaded with him.
That never happened.
I cried, I fought.
She never asked me to leave crying, approached me, nothing.
If it can be helped, don't have a roommate.
Same legal loophole that was created during COVID for people who really were struggling and not being able to afford their rent. And now she sues him for doing the exact same thing that she did. So the landlord is really the only one out here.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And if you could write a check to the landlord, that would be fine. But the landlord isn't a party. I have a feeling that there are a lot of very small landlords, you know, not people that own giant buildings, but people who have, you know, their real estate businesses are small. They may have 2 or 3 or 4 apartments that they rent. They maintain them, whatever. She was living there for a while, clearly happy with the situation because she lived there for 5 years. Well, why just not pay your rent if you're still doing hair in the apartment? That's a business. That's what you're doing. He's still collecting his same royalties, which you think somebody else should be reporting on their tax return. I don't know. People have to really grow up. I'm getting so... losing my patience so quick.
And gas money.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2087, Self versus Stroger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your last name is Self?
That's correct.
There are 2 parts to your claim. I'm going to get and take your hands out of your pockets.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to get and dismiss one of them and get to the one that is important. You and the defendant were in a dating sort of relationship. That dating relationship sort of continued for a while. At some point, you had an argument and she left you. She stranded you. That was in July of 2022. You say you had an argument, she drove off and she left you stranded. You had to get a hotel for the night. You had to pay a friend for gas money. Blah, 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 blah.
Correct.
Forget that. That's what happens when you have a fight with your girlfriend.
Okay.
Have a fight with your girlfriend. How old are you?
I'm almost 40.
Well, for someone almost 40, they know how to get home.
Correct.
Okay, good. So let's get to what your lawsuit is. It's really about a phone that you say the defendant is responsible for losing or taking.
Taking. I have video to
taking. And the defendant in some way acknowledges that she disposed of your phone. And she says she had very good cause to dispose of your phone She's going to tell me why. So I'm going to get some dates from you, Mr. Self, and I'm going to, at the same time, explore what I see is her answer and her counterclaim.
Okay.
Now, after the two of you had broken up, Miss Stroger was at a bar, and she was at a bar on what date?
I would say that would be the 16th. It was actually on the 19th.
August 2nd.
Was it August
8-2.
2nd?
You see how...
She knows better about these dates than I do.
Well, but it's your case.
I understand that.
So let's say she's right, that it happened on August 2nd.
Okay.
And at that time, the two of you were no longer dating or a couple.
Yes.
And you were going to a bar. And when you got there, was the defendant there?
Not that I was aware of at the particular time.
You didn't see her?
I didn't see her, no.
What time did you get to the bar?
I'd say about 4 or 5.
Anybody else at the bar?
There's quite a bit of people there,
How many people?
I'd say about 30.
Anybody you knew?
Quite a bit of people.
Of the 30 people there, how many people did you know?
I'd say at least 10.
But you indicate when you got there, you did interviews with whom you had been close association and intimate, right?
Correct.
And you didn't see her.
Well, they have a back patio, and then they also have the indoors and everything like that. And then they have a front area, too, as well, so.
Tell me, Mr. Self, when did you, in fact, see her?
It's when she was doing the bowling. And that was a little bit later on when I was playing pool.
About what time was that?
I don't know, probably like 7 or 8.
So you had been in the bar for between 3 and 4 hours.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're at the bar for 3 or 4 hours. And are your friends there, these 10 people that you knew?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to go back a little bit to the breakup that you two had.
Gotcha.
Was it a mutual breakup?
So what ended up happening and everything that we had a disagreement on the 23rd in Norco, and she left me stranded there. So I had to get another friend give me a ride back to my residence.
I can't understand a word you're saying because you're speaking too fast.
On the 23rd.
Better.
She left me at a barbecue and had a friend give me a ride back to Riverside, California.
A friend who was at the barbecue.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you were at a barbecue with her.
That's correct.
And that was how far away from where you were living in Riverside?
I'd say about 20 minutes away.
And your friend was at the barbecue, and after you had an argument with her, your friend took you home.
Prior?
No, not prior. Is that what you just said to me?
In Norco, California, is when she left me at a barbecue. And then at the bar, or when we were down in Huntington Beach on the 30th, she left me. I have video that shows all that.
All right. I asked you whether the breakup was acrimonious. So one time she left you at a barbecue where you knew somebody who drove you home.
Correct.
And you didn't stay in a motel, you didn't do anything else. Okay, good. And then she did it again.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying to me?
Yes.
And the second time was when?
It was on the 30th.
Okay. And that is the time when you say you had to spend some time over. So after she left you the second time, is that when you no longer communicated with her?
That's correct.
Did you say, why did you leave me? How dare you leave me? You didn't have any. Who showed up late?
We did, because I was with her.
I just need a date of that.
On the 30th.
Sir. I have on the 30th. So she was upset that you showed up late, and?
We showed up late to her cousin's thing. They're supposed to be at 2 o'clock. We got there about 2:05. She's upset about that. When we were driving down the road, because we're trying to find parking, which everybody was around and everything, she was getting upset and getting angry with another driver, to the point where I had to pull the e-brake to stop the vehicle, as I thought she was going to run into it.
And then what happened?
I tried to de-escalate the situation as much as possible. Mind you, there's 2 minors are in the back.
I would just like to know, was the breakup, I'm trying to figure out, was the breakup acrimonious or mutual on the 30th? Who broke up with whom?
She left me.
She left you there.
That's correct.
On the 30th. After she left you there on the 30th, did you have any communication with her?
I was done with it.
Just a second. So after the 30th, you didn't see her or communicate with her until you saw her on August 2nd, is what you're saying?
Yes. I didn't see her again.
Didn't see her again or communicate with her from the 30th of July until August 2nd, a few days later.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
I believe so. I can look at my records right now to see, but I don't believe I gave her a call or anything like that.
Okay. And when you saw her at the bar that you were in, you saw her later between 6 and 7. She was bowling. Mm-hmm. It's not an answer. The answer is yes.
Yes.
She was bowling. You were playing pool.
Correct.
And what this is about is your phone, which you're missing. So tell me about the phone, sir.
So I have a Note 10 Plus that was behind the bar at the time, instead of going to my vehicle, which I typically charge it from that.
Just a second. So you were charging your phone at the bar.
Correct.
When had you put the phone in to charge it?
Later on that evening, around 10, maybe 11, I'm guessing. 'Cause
10 or 11?
I'm guessing.
Just a second. 10 or 11. So,
Because there's a few times I actually go in there, I charge it, then I use it for a little bit.
well,
go back
but
there.
you saw it the last time.
I apologize for that.
Last time you saw it, you plugged it in. It was like 10 or 11. So now you've been in the bar from 4 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
And she was there, at least as far as you know, from about 7 to 10 or 11.
Yes.
Keep going.
So I charge it, and
What were you?
social media, all the good stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
So anyways, I was playing pool. I went outside, had a cigarette, and then that's when she, at 12:33 is when she ended up with her girlfriend looking around and all this other stuff. Like I stated before, I have the video that shows that on the camera. Would you like to see it?
So far, I'm not understanding you. So why don't you explain it to me, and then you can show it to me. So far, it's all a jumble. 12:30 at night. You have
12:33 is when she stole the phone.
is when she stole the phone.
That's correct.
And you bought the phone when, sir?
About 2 years ago.
And how much did you pay for it?
I don't know, I think like $800, $700.
Well, this is your case. How am I supposed to figure out? You're suing for a phone that she took. How am I supposed to figure out how much she owes you for the phone if she took it?
I don't know how much I paid for it, but I know it retails for about $1,200.
Show me.
So I got the case cover.
What kind of phone was
The
it?
Note 10 Plus.
The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus is typically $395 to $512.
At this point in time, yes.
Well, that's what it would cost you to replace it.
Okay.
Now, you do not deny that you put your hands on his phone in a manner in which you intended to have it removed from his custody, which means, according to you, you took the phone out of the charger and threw it in the trash or trash someplace. So far, Mr. Self, the defendant acknowledges that she took the phone and trashed it.
All right.
And I want you to make sure that you answer my questions carefully. While you were at the bar between 7 and 12, did you ever show anyone at the bar a photograph of the defendant?
No, I did not.
Now I'll hear you.
So I got to the bar around 8:30 because I played darts that night. I did not see the plaintiff. I was playing bowling. There's an arcade game. And when he came in, he started showing videos of me.
That's incorrect.
Don't speak. There is a protective order in place, and if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service, you better do so. In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far.
David Self claims his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, owes for a phone and gas money. Joangela is countersuing for harassment.
Now, did you see him showing videos of you to anyone at the bar?
I saw him showing videos.
But didn't see what they were?
No.
I would never do such a thing. Apologize.
Could you stand up, please? Absolutely. Do you know Mr. Self?
I do.
Tell me your name.
Amy
Amy what?
Clack.
Were you at the bar on the 2nd of August?
I was.
And you know the defendant?
Yes, she's a friend of mine.
And what about Mr. Self? How do you know him?
As her ex-boyfriend?
Be careful of what you answer me. Did you see what Mr. Self was showing on his phone?
I did not see what he was showing on his phone. I saw him showing the phone, and I had friends who came up to me to see if I had seen it.
You can't tell me what your friends told you.
Understand.
You can sit down. Now, Ms. Stroger, your answer, and of course your counterclaim, involved the fact that Mr. Self was showing intimate pictures of you that he had maintained on his phone. So far, we don't have a witness to that. So what I want you to tell me is whether or not you personally had a conversation with Mr. Self about those videos on that night on August 2nd.
I asked him not to show video of me around the bar that night.
You did have a conversation with him?
Yeah, because he approached me.
Put your hand down. I want you to tell me about the conversation.
He approached me basically...
I don't want to hear basically.
He approached me
what time?
saying hi about 9:30 that night. Approached me saying hi. I told him I didn't want anything to do with him, that I had seen him showing videos, and that I was told that it was sexual videos of myself.
And what did he say?
He said he can do what he wants with his phone, and walked away.
Do you recall that conversation, Mr. Self?
There was no conversation that took place. The only video...
No. Slowly. There was no conversation, that took place.
That took place about anything like that. What video I did have was her being irate over there in Huntington Beach. So if you'd like to see that too as well.
No, I'd like to see the new phone. Got it. He has just dawned on me. He has a new phone. Well,
I did have a letter stating that he did get the backup and he's got all the videos again.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
I do have a backup. Once I...
Just a second.
Okay.
He sent this to my boss at 1:30 in the morning. 2:43, sorry.
Mr. Self, this was sent by you to her boss on the 9th of August.
Okay.
Would you tell me the purpose of sending this letter to her boss?
She does very good at showing that she's a good person and all the other good
No,
stuff.
no, I don't think, listen to me. I don't necessarily think anything.
Okay.
I think any woman that allows photographs to be taken of her, intimate photographs that she would not want put on the, I'm speaking.
Okay.
I'm speaking that she would not want posted on the front page of a local newspaper.
Correct.
I think that that's foolish.
Yeah.
I do. And I know a lot of people do it. I do a shout out every once in a while and say that that's stupid to do. And I think certainly if you were showing those videos or those photographs to anyone at the bar because you were annoyed with her or whatever, you thought it was fun, I think that that's
childish.
Sad, maybe worse. What I want to know is, after this all happened, why you sent this email to her boss.
Because the thing is this, that she is trying to pin me as a bad guy or something like that, is what she's really trying to do. She's trying to manipulate it to be on her side. She lies and manipulates all the time. And I've seen that because I was with her. I should know. Okay? The thing is this, I have the video of her over there in Huntington Beach being irate, unable to have a conversation.
I don't care if she's irate, sir. Right now, she has no proof that you were showing videos of her at the bar that evening.
Yes.
You don't have that because that's your counterclaim. Part of your counterclaim, which is for revenge porn. Okay. Now, you're going to tell me about the stalking, and first I'll take a look at a police report.
The police report, unfortunately...
Just a second. If you don't have it...
I have a restraining order, and the police...
Just a second. Do you have a restraining order that's in effect now?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Also, Your Honor, too, I have also...
No, I'm not...
Okay.
I didn't ask you anything. Were you at a hearing, Mr. Self, on this protective order?
I never even got served papers at all for anything.
I have proof of service.
Was there a signature on it?
Well, Mr. Self, she has a restraining order that's, and the hearing date was August 25th, 2022. She appeared. You're supposed to stay away from her. I'm just telling you. And I'm telling you, considering the fact, and I don't know whether you were released from prison recently. Are you still on parole?
I'm on parole right now, yes.
Okay. Well, if you're... I didn't ask you anything. Well, if you're on parole, Mr. Self, and you say you weren't served with this restraining order, I would strongly advise, sir, that you retain counsel and question service.
Yeah, I've contacted my probation officer. They're well aware of the situation.
Don't tell me what they're aware of. I'm telling you that there is a protective order in place.
Gotcha.
And if you want to vacate that protective order because you question service of that protective order, you better do so.
Okay.
In the meantime, I suggest you stay very, very far away from her.
He called me yesterday.
I called you yesterday?
Yes.
Don't speak to her. Tell me what the conversation was yesterday.
I was on my way to work, and I didn't know the phone number, so I answered it, and he said, please just give me a minute, and I hung up.
Did you call her yesterday from that phone?
There is a phone.
Just a second. That would be a yes.
Yes.
Okay, and you know this situation is hostile.
Yes.
And you knew you were coming here today.
That's correct.
Would you tell me, please, why you called her yesterday?
I didn't mean to call her by any means. It's pocket dialed her.
Well, if it butt called her or pocket dialed her, sir, that means that you were able to transfer all the information that you had on your old phone into your new phone, because after the experience that you had at the bar here, then it wasn't a butt call. So you can either butt call when, am I wrong about that? You know, I'm not technically sophisticated, but I do know this. I can't think into my phone. Now, maybe there is a phone that you can think into and say, well, I have her number right here. You can't say, am I missing something here?
You might only butt dial me because I'm in your favorites, but...
Why would you send this to her boss?
It shows that she lies and manipulates and all this other stuff to get her way.
I'm at a point where I don't actually believe that you didn't show some photographs of her around that bar.
David Self is accusing his ex-girlfriend, Joangela Stroger, of throwing away his phone. Joangela is countersuing, claiming David shared private photos of her.
Okay, so you called her. You want to tell me why you called her yesterday?
I accidentally called her.
What's her number doing in your phone?
Because I keep all the numbers and everything just in case I have to get a hold of somebody. Because you know how many times I've been with her and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? Yeah. Tons of times. You know what I mean?
You know, so something, Mr. Self, I don't believe you, sir.
Okay.
I don't believe you, and I don't believe that there was ever any reason for you to contact her boss. I think she has an order of protection.
Okay.
I'd like to see proof of service. Do you have it?
Yes. Oh, it's not connected with that. I'm sorry. If not, I have a picture of the service in front of his house.
Yeah. Server's name. So it was personal service.
And I do have a video after the fact of what she's talking about, the individual coming to the house. So I recorded
I'm just
that.
reading the proof of service, sir. You said you weren't served.
I
I'd like
wasn't
to see proof of service. If you had proof of service, you were served.
I wasn't served.
Okay.
Just because you take a picture in front of a house and everything doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Why is that? I wasn't even...
Lawyer.
Okay.
If you think that the service was improper, I'm satisfied with it, and another judge was satisfied with it, and I still don't understand why you wrote to her boss. Why you wrote to her boss afterwards. Any other communications?
To my boss, yes.
May I see it, please? Well, this is also written on August 9th, sir. This is from you, and it's a very graphic email to her boss. You want to take a look at it?
I do indeed.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to show it to you.
Okay. Thank you. So this is really just stating the individual that they hired, that they...
No, I'm just asking you whether you sent that to her boss.
That is my email address, and that looks
Yes,
like my writing. That's correct. Or
The question is, did you send that to her boss?
Indeed.
Okay. May I have it, please? And that was after the events, a week after the event.